Good morning.
Good morning.
Who do we have on the call right now?
Susan Eastman, Principal Attorney and Director of the Navajo Hopi Legal Services Program under Navajo Nation DOJ.
Do we have any other committee members or do we have staff who are on the line?
Good morning, Chair. This is Sherelle.
Good morning, Sherelle. Is Lorraine on the line?
Morning. I'm on the line.
Great. Well, Honorable Otto So should be joining us here shortly. Honorable Eugene So as well. I haven't heard from Honorable Vince James yet, but we'll go ahead and we'll wait for them to get onto the line, and then we'll be
Delegate James on the line, Shanella.
Delegate James, good morning. Shanella. Shanella, are you going to grace us with your presence today?
No, nuh-uh.
All right, sounds good, Shanella.
I'll be on.
No,
What? Not Peggy, but to whoever is the advisor here, Law and Order.
The advisor is Lorraine Spencer.
Yeah, everything I sent to Peggy, so she's supposed to hopefully make copies for the members.
Lorraine, were all the documents sent to you and were they all printed?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes, yesterday I gave out the hearing of Hills Public Defenders and DOJ, the report from OMB, and they all brought in their copies, and the copies are available. And I did place them on the desk.
Thank you, Lorraine. Committee members, Honorable Eugene So, Honorable Otto So, are you on the line? Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll wait for Honorable Otto So or Honorable Eugene So to join us because we do need a quorum, the budget hearing. So I'm going to go back. Lorraine, have any of the other committee members joined us?
Mr. So just walked in, Otto So.
Okay, we'll give him about a couple of minutes to get situated, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start.
Okay. Somebody has their phone on. Please mute your phone unless you're ready to speak. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, guys. This is Delegate So. We are sort of starting a little bit late, and I see Charles Newton on the phone and Vince James on the phone. Therefore, is Honorable Eugene So on the line? Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So, are you on the line? Okay, then. We're going to go ahead and move forth, Madam Chair, and going to go ahead and call the budget hearing to order at 9:13 a.m. And Lorraine, can you provide roll call?
Okay, roll call for Law and Order Committee members. Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton is present. I'm coming in from Fort Smith, Arizona.
Otto So.
I am present at the Navajo Nation Council Chamber.
Vince James.
Delegate James present.
Eugene So. Eugene So. Edmund Yazzie. Vice Chair, we have 3 members present on the call. Thanks.
Hello.
Hello. We're gonna thank you, Lorraine, for providing roll call and moving forth on the agenda. And Department of Justice, are you on the line? DOJ not on the line. We'll move forth. And Mr. Vince James, can you provide us an invocation? Honorable James. All righty. Well, I thought we had. Okay, we'll move forth. Maybe not any yajidan it limit sudan it adon than the yeet and it lindon the home and a lake a hojon it lindo sunny him. David out the street to Jojo the Kiddo Jono and a lake a hojon it lindo. We're not stay. All right then. moving forward on the agenda onto the next item, announcement. I'm gonna keep that to the end. Kick that announcement to the end. Moving forward on the agenda, introducing and recognizing guests and visiting official. I believe Department of Justice is not on the line, so I was gonna introduce them, so they're not on the line. So committee members, do you have any guest
on the
members up
line.
there?
DOJ is on the line, sir. Yes, and this is Susan Eastman from Navajo Hopi Legal Services on the line too.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving forth on the agenda, we're on number 3 on the agenda. There's no visiting official or guests and so forth. Moving forth, we're going to go to reviewing, adopting the budget hearing agenda. Lorraine, can you read the agenda into the record?
Thank you, Vice Chair and members of the Law and Order Committee members. Before you is an agenda of the Law and Order Committee of 24th Nation Council, Oversight Budget Hearing, FY 2021, August 26, 2020, 9 a.m. in teleconference. 1, call budget hearing to order, roll call, vacation announcement. Number 2, introduction, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review and adopt the budget hearing agenda. Number 5, presentation by Office of Management and Budget. 6, FY 2020 budget review and presentation. A, Office of Hearing and Appeals, presenter Richie Nez, Director. B, Office of Public Defender, presenter Kathleen Bowman, Director. C, Department of Justice, presenter Doreen McCall, Navajo Nation Attorney General. Number 7, revisit unmet needs, Navajo Division of Public Safety, presenter Jesse Delmer, Division Director. Number 8, adjourn the FY 2021 Oversight Budget Hearing. Vice Chair.
Thank you very much, Lorraine, for taking care of item number 3 on the agenda. With that, we don't need a motion or a second, but we do have a quorum established to conduct the budget hearing. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and go on to the next item on the agenda, number 5, presentation by Office of Budget Management. Office of Management and Budget. Cool. OMB, are you on the line?
I'm on the line. This is Emmett Francis from OMB.
Okay, Emmett Francis. Okay, we're gonna be calling on you before every presentation, but we have Office of Hearing and Appeals.
Yes.
And we have public defender. So usually, if we just go ahead and then we have Department of Justice. If we do it all at once, we have to go back and so I'm going to be calling on you right before each of the presentation of the budget. So therefore, we'll go ahead and do that. And in this case, we're going to be, as I said, we're going to be going back and forth. And can you go ahead and do the presentation for the Office of Hearing and Appeals?
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you all got copies of the OMB report. It's the title of the report is the Navajo Nation Law and Order Committee Fiscal Year 2021 Budget Hearing, and there are 2 programs under the executive offices that report to the President's office. One of them is Office of Hearing and Appeals, and the other one is Navajo Public Defender. I will go into the report. The second page is the table of contents, which has the FY 2021 fund type budget summary, and the second part, fiscal year 2020 third quarter ending budget expenditure report. The third part, fiscal year 2020 third quarter performance assessment report. The fourth part, fiscal year 2020 third quarter plans of operation status report. And the last part, FY 2020 third quarter conditions of probation summary report. So, okay, going to the first part, A, the fund type summary. This provides information on basically the general fund amount that was approved by the council in fiscal year 20, and then the allocation from the executive branch for FY21. This is what this represents. It also includes one program that has indirect cost funding that is allocated by the Office of the Controller. Okay, going to the report. Business Unit 103004, Office of Hearing and Appeals. Fiscal year 20, they got $342,000 in general funds. In fiscal year 21, they will be getting $482,583. Indirect costs of $99,973 for a total of $582,556 for business unit 104,003 Office of Naval Public Defender. For fiscal year 20, they got $1,275,000. The same amount for FY21 and the same total for FY21. Summarizing, both programs are budgeted at $1,617,000 for FY20. For FY21, $1,757,583. With an additional amount of indirect cost fund, $99,973, for a total of $1,857,556. The next part B is the expenditure report. The first part is the Office of Hearing and Appeals. I'm not going to go through the whole report. Basically, just read the bottom line for Office of Hearing and Appeals. The total amount of their budget was $582,556 for FY20. The actual amount that is spent total-wise is $210,916.19. Encumbrance, $1,002.02 in encumbrance. That could be maybe purchase orders or contract or something where it stays open for expenditure for the whole fiscal year. That's the reason why it's called encumbrance. And then the total left to be spent for the rest of the fiscal year, $370,637.79. And they're spending at 36.38% up to the end of June 30th, which is the third quarter of the fiscal year. So they should be around close to 75%, but they're kind of behind, and just wanted to report that. The next one is Office of Naval Public Defender. The total amount funded was $1,275,000. It's the same amount in the revised budget, which means the budget hasn't changed. They did move some money around here and there in some of those object codes, like special transaction. It went from $19,708 to $20,208. That's basically just something that happens during the fiscal year. They will move money around within their budget. If they get more money, then the budget increases through a supplemental or something like that. So, but this one, both of these programs did not get any more money. The actual amount spent for Office of Naval Public Defender is $711,418.71. Encumbrance is $3,906. They have still left $563,581.29 at 55.93. Again, they should be closer to 75% since this report represents the end of the third quarter. Going on to the next page, Part C, Performance Assessment. Under the Performance Assessment for the ending the third quarter, Business Unit 103004, Office of Hearing and Appeals. First quarter, they were at 3. Second quarter at 2.2, and third quarter at 1.4. So they've been kind of going down a little bit. And then Business Unit 104003, Office of Naval Public Defender. First quarter 1.8, second quarter 1, third quarter 1.6. Again, they're fairly low. The average for both programs, 2.4, 1.6, 1.5 for both programs. They're kind of going down as far as performance. There is a scoring legend there. 3 means that they're exceeding the goals and their measures. 2 means that they're meeting their goals and measures. 1 means they're not meeting their goals and measures. And then 0 means no report provided to OMB to score their report. So that's the performance information. The next part, D, third quarter plans of operation. Again, there are only two programs which are under the office or under the executive offices, and I highlighted those two offices. Under Executive Office number 4, Business Unit 103004, Office of Hearing and Appeals. They have legislation GSCAP-19-95, and that was adopted in 1995. So it's kind of rather old. We're in 2020, and that's a long time ago, 1995. Number 16, 104003, Office of the Naval Public Defender, CAP-34-93, adopted in 1993. Again, it's one of the older plans of operation. Below that, there's an explanation of each of these legislation. CAP-3493. They changed the operation or the plan of operation from Naval Legal Aid and Defender Office to Office of Naval Public Defender. On the next page, also explains GSCAP-1995, which is to authorize the establishment of the Office of Hearing Appeals with an executive branch and adopting their plan of operation. So those are the two programs with their plan of operation. And going on to the next section, the third quarter condition of appropriation that was approved along with the FY20 budget, and this is mainly for Office of Hearing and Appeals, which says the Office of Hearing and Appeals is not meeting its performance goal. The director for the Office of Hearing and Appeals is to report to the Law and Order Committee at the end of each quarter to discuss its performance scores. And looking at the third quarter response, there hasn't been a response from the Office of Hearings and Appeals on whether they meet in this legislative concern. And that completes my presentation on the OMB report. Thank you very much.
Mr. Francis, for your presentation on Office of Hearing and Appeals and Office of Public Defenders report. Therefore, moving forth, Mr. Richie Nez, are you on the line? Mr. Richie Nez, are you on the line? Go once. Mr. Richie Nez, are you on the line? I'm going to go twice. Mr. Richie Nez, are you on the line? I'm going to go 3 times. Therefore, I'm going to call this as a turnout. Move on to the next item on the agenda. Is Public Defender on the line? Catherine Bowman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
All righty, Catherine, you're here before the committee, and we are going to go ahead and request you to present your budget in what the budget allocation was made for this year, so we could move forth on reviewing your budget. So, therefore, Catherine, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. The budget for this year is the same as last year, and I've been doing this year by year. I've been asking for attorneys, 3 more attorneys, and at one point I had 2 approved, and then one got, and then one year there was just 1, and then it was subject to line item veto. So I've been performing and operating the Public Defender Office with the same numbers of people for a number of years. I can't even begin to count. In the meantime, the police department has increased at least by double, almost. I don't know the numbers. And also last year there were about 19 prosecutors because they also had increase in staff. But I have never had an increase in staff. And it's hard on the people that are working because we have to commute to the different district courts during the week on hearing days, and it's taking a lot of toll on us health-wise. So that is why I've been asking for more help. The only problem is right now our workload has been reduced, and that's why our report is not that great. Our performance.
Can you guys mute your phone, please? Ashore. Go ahead, Catherine.
As far as performance, because of this COVID pandemic, we haven't had as many clients appointed to us. And if we do get clients, there are legal issues that we have to abide by, ethical rules. And so we've only been able to do like arraignments, sentences, motion hearings where no witnesses are required, and sometimes bail hearings. But any hearings beyond that, trials and pretrial conferences, we have not been able to participate in those, and frankly, the courts have not been scheduling them too, because they moved a lot of hearings all the way into October, all the way to January. And just for your information, the federal government is not really prosecuting the major crimes right now. I checked, and it's because in some cases the FBI hasn't been doing investigations, and the other problem is the federal courts are not holding grand jury proceedings, and the indictments against our people for the major crimes require grand jury proceedings so that they can issue indictments. So everything's kind of been at a standstill. We're not serving as many clients as we have been. And then because we're not doing that, we're doing things by phone. We haven't spent money, so it shows that we're not spending money because we're not going to required conferences, we're not going to court hearings. So that's another reason why our money is not really being spent. Plus, at the same time, right now, out of 13 positions, I have 3 that are vacant, and we've been advertising. One is a senior tribal court advocate, and one is a senior attorney. So we have savings right there too, and that goes to the part about only spending like close to 56% of our funding. So anyway, I calculated the amount we're paying for personnel expenses in the FY 2021 budget minus the money up the total amount of the budget, $1,275,000. And what I came up with is there's only an amount of 8 point, let's see, what is it? It has it on my exhibit on the last page, I believe. I think it's 8.4% for overhead. And when you're preparing a budget, there should be at least 15% to cover overhead expenses. And since we have not been able to attend like the bar conferences, the conference for public defenders, we're not spending money on the training. We're not spending any travel money. And so when you look at our present budget, if things change, if we get to do some of those things that are necessary for maintaining our license, we're going to need more overhead money. 8.4% is really not much. We don't know what we're going to have to buy in terms of equipment when we start getting up to doing more hearings, because we may have to buy equipment that we can utilize to speak with our clients when we're doing court hearings. Because our clients, when you're representing a client and it's a hearing where there are witnesses, your client needs to be close to you so that you can speak to them. And if they're not close to you, if they're going to be on the phone, there needs to be a way that we can talk to them confidentially, because what they're doing is they're listening to the witness, and we're not able to determine, there's a right called a right to confrontation. We're not able to determine body language, facial expressions because of the mask. So there are a number of issues that will have to be worked out. They're also entitled to speedy public hearings, speedy and public trials. And we can't, if we're all on the phone and it's just the parties, we can't have a public trial. And then the right to counsel is also affected because we can't consult back and forth with the clients. So all of those things will have to be worked out with the courts and the prosecutors before we can really go forward and do any trials or even pretrial conferences. So we have issues. And I think it's going to take some more money on our on our side, on the public defender side, so that we can do our job ethically and responsibly and represent our clients properly. So that's what I really wanted to let you know. And having 8.4% for overhead, because that doesn't count the personnel money, and we can't move personnel money around, and the personnel money is just the same as it's been for a number of years. So I just wanted you to know that those are the issues that my office is facing right now. Thank you.
Does that conclude your budget presentation?
I believe so, and I'm able to answer questions if you have any. And all I can say is we weren't. I know we got approved for carryover last year, and we never did have an opportunity to get that, and it's just because we didn't really have all the expenses that we should have had because of the shutdown. And this year may be different. We need some more overhead money if we. And I do hope that I can get additional positions, because we really ought to have a public defender office in every district, because hearings come up even from here in Window Rock. We got notice yesterday. There's 3 hearings today, so we have to participate in those, even though we haven't talked to the client or we haven't been able to get a police report. So those are things that we're going to be needing to do, and I don't know how we're going to serve all the districts if we're stuck just here and unable to travel. So, but some of the courts have closed, and so the hearings have been reduced. So I don't know what the future is going to hold for us, but I don't want to be where I'm trying to rob Peter to pay Paul and not have enough money to do the work that we're obligated to do on behalf of our people. So I think that covers it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Catherine Moman, for your presentation. I'm going to turn it over to the floor. Committee members, do you have any questions for Ms. Moman? Go once, twice,
Honorable Otto
3
So.
times. All right, Ms. Chairwoman.
Honorable Otto So, and thank you for running this meeting for me this morning. Ms. Bowman, I do appreciate the presentation that you've given, and I've asked every department and division that's come before this body the same question. As you are aware, the full-time hours for Navajo Nation employees went from 2,080 to 2,088. We've had divisions and departments explain to us how they are planning to cover the additional 8 hours for each of the employees. My question is, how did you, within your budget, cover that amount so that your employees are taken care of? Thank you. I'm going back on mute.
Thank you,
Ms. Bowman,
Ms.
go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Charles Newton. Or Madam Chairperson. What I do when I get the amount that's allocated to my office, I count all the employees that I have on duty, and I count their salary. And this year I had to count 2,088 hours, and I subtract the personnel expenses right off the top, and it went up to 1,167,702, and that's at least 48, 58, almost 20,000 more than the personnel expenses for last year. Once I subtract that, then whatever is left over, I allocate to supplies and travel, meetings, bar dues, all of the other expenses that we have. And because of that, that's why I'm saying I only have 8.4% for overhead. And that amount is what's available to me for operating expenses. And it's going to have an effect on us because we do a lot of travel to the districts because we don't have an office in every district. I don't have staff in every district. So we have to, for example, in Window Rock, we go to, besides Window Rock, we go to Chinle and Zillijing, and Tuba City office goes from, they represent people in Tuba, and then they go to Dilcon and Kayenta. And same way with Crown Point and Shiprock. They cover districts over there in the New Mexico side. So that's how I calculated the extra hours. And it just takes away from operating expenses to do that. But I just calculated it at whatever they're being paid now.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Moman. I'm going to ask one question is that last year we approved a carryover for the president's office, and I know your office is under the president's office. Have you received any carryover monies that was allocated for the office of the president to your program?
Thank you, Mr. So. No, we didn't receive anything from the president's office. You did approve carryover for my office, and I was never informed about what amount that was. So even if we had the carryover for last year, we would not have been able to spend it because we've basically been shut down since March 15th or whatever that date was. And our travel, everything has been curtailed because of the shutdown, and that's why now we didn't spend all our total budget. And yes, I appreciated you approving the carryover, but had things gone the way they did in previous years, we would have been able to spend some more of that money, but we didn't spend it. So if I can't get positions, I'm asking for carryover from this year to supplement my operating expense budget, which is the 8.4% of the total budget.
Honorable Otto So.
All right, thank you very much. Vice Chairwoman, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I guess my question is, where would we get that information? How much carryover was approved from last year? And what I'm thinking is, if they didn't get that carryover from last year and we approved it, I guess one would be, we need to know how much that carryover was and how much was approved for Ms. Bowman's office with the public defender. And then two is, can we carry over that carryover amount, since Ms. Bowman stated that that the office never received it? Although she stated on the record that even if they had received that money, they probably wouldn't have spent it. But in my mind, that money was authorized to them, and so that money should stay with their office. So I'd like to know how much that carryover funds was approved from last year. And then I see the unmet needs of $164,034. So perhaps with that carryover, we can minus that and at least assist the public defender's office with this money. Vice Chair?
Thank you very much. Catherine, go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Charles Newton. The carryover, it takes time to calculate the amount of carryover because all of the budgets have to be reconciled from the previous year. So in years past, when I did receive carryover, it wasn't till maybe in January that it was calculated, and it's done in OMB. So I don't think we got to that point this year. If the president did get carryover funds, I'm unaware of how much was given to their office, and we weren't given any of that money. But we did have a carryover. The committee approved carryover, and the council approved our carryover for us from prior year. I think it was 2019, and I just don't know the amount. And as far as can it be approved, that decision probably should rest with maybe OMB. I don't know who would approve that. Thank you.
Vice Chair, could we get OMB to answer that question? Thank you.
Chairwoman, all you need to do is motion to approve carryovers. If it's going to be the total amount, that way you indicate that amount, and then we get the legislation. We ask our Leg Council to get language ready for Friday's Law and Order Committee meeting, so that when we hear the legislation, the amendment is inserted into the main legislation approving the carryover. If it's to a certain amount, for instance, you indicated that if it's an amount relating to the amount for the unmet needs, you can limit it to the unmet need amount. That way, the unmet need portion is taken care of for the program. The other is that this program has been receiving carryovers every year as long as I can remember when I came into council. And to see $500,000 right now is really troublesome. And each year there's a carryover, and to me, programs can operate with less. That's what I'm thinking. And but that's up to the committee. To the committee members, you can approve, make that recommendation. Then Ron, our ledge council, can craft language. And when the legislation comes forth, the main legislation, that's when the carryover language is approved inside the law and order resolution. That's my recommendation, Ms. Vice Chair. And then the other is to OMB. Can you give us, Mr. Francis, give us information related to the carryover amount from previous years?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I can't get access to all the carryovers that were approved by council legislation at the moment. But like the program presenter said, even though she might have gotten the carryover, she might not even had to spend it because of the pandemic that hit the reservation back beginning in February and March. So as I reported earlier, her expenditure rate is very low. So the problem with carryovers is just for a one-time expenditure. Even if she did put money into her salary, she wouldn't be able to fund those positions the next year because the carryover only is for one-time funding. And then the president's office did get had the council approve $3 million in carryover for the president to use anywhere funds are needed. And as far as I know, none of that money went to public defender's office. So, and it has to be based on a request from the program themselves. If they need more money, then they request the president's office to use some of that $3 million to help them with one-time expenses. So that's the only thing. The only problem with carryover is just for one-time purposes. And like I said, if she tried to spend it for salary, then she can't do it again the next year unless, like you mentioned earlier, you keep doing carryovers every year and stuff to fund those positions. But the carryovers don't come out until like December or January from the Office of the Controller. So there is a lapse in funding from October, November, maybe even including December. So that's one of the other problems with carryovers is that there's a lapse in time when the funds finally get to the program. But I'm going to try to keep looking for that carryover number. I'm not sure if that carryover amount is in the council resolution. If the committee requested, it still has to go to Budget and Finance Committee, and Budget and Finance Committee looks at all the programs that are requesting carryovers. Then based on how much they can provide as for carryovers, then they recommend that to the council. Then the council does the same thing. Is there enough money to go around as far as the carryovers to fund all these carryover requests and stuff? So usually some programs don't get their carryover at the Budget and Finance level, and then some programs don't get their carryover at the council level because the Oversight Committee can recommend, but they have to work with Budget and Finance Committee and the council to keep that carryover amount in the legislation that the council passes. That's my response. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis, for your comment there. And once you get that information, maybe you can email it to Laureen to provide us that information on the carryover information related to previous years for the public defender's office.
All right, thank you.
All righty then. Hakoshi, moving on, Ms. Charles Newton.
Mr. Chair, may I comment, please?
Hold on. I'm turning the floor over to Charles Newton. Hold on.
Okay.
I should say, Honorable Vice Chair Otto. So it sounds like, based on the information provided by OMB, there is a lot of, confusion. I think that Ms. Bowman, you're not the only person who may be in this situation where they were not given information about their carryover funds. But per OMB, the president's office did receive their carryover funds. So, though I guess in a way, when you were talking, and the way that I understood was that the carryover funds, you weren't really sure about them, and you weren't sure where it went. But after hearing OMB said that the president's office did get that. So I think that you have to advocate for your program and go to the president's office and demand that you get your carryover funds. I mean, right now they should have those funds readily available. And so I think that if you did do that, you would still have a few months to be able to spend those funds as you saw fit, which would help you through these next few months until we hit the end of the budget year. And I guess in a way the responsibility kind of falls back on you. I'm a little bit surprised that the president's office didn't inform you that you do have carryover funds. I'm not really sure how his office works, but I would think that if those funds were approved for my office, gosh darn, I would go over there and I would make a stink about it and demand that that money be put into the account where it was properly authorized. I don't think that this council approved more money for the president's office than it did with each of the programs that they tried to assist last year by granting them those carryover funds. So, Ms. Bowman, I think it falls back on you to go there and advocate for those funds. And again, you only have a few months, but those may be funds that you could use right away. So with that, OMB, thank you for giving us that information. And it sounds like we can't approve the carryover funds from the previous year, but we could approve the carryover funds from this year. I think from OMB, what I would like to see, not only for the public defender's office, but for every office, if it's possible, within the next week, if you could let us know which divisions and departments under the Law and Order Committee has received carryover funds, how much those funds are, and if you could go back as far as maybe 5 years, that would really assist this committee with seeing the larger picture. I understand that COVID has caused issues with the way that we conduct business. But COVID has only been here for a few months now, and if we go back 5 years, it'll give us a really good understanding of the programs and the divisions and even the judicial branch, how these funds that we're approving for carryover, whether they're even being used. So if we could get that information, OMB, within the next week, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Moving forth, Catherine, go ahead and you have the floor. Kathleen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and Ms. Charles Newton. We have received carryover funds only one time. It was specifically approved for the Office of Navajo Public Defender. That's how it was in the legislation, and that's how we got it. We don't ever get money from the president's office. I think the way it's allocated is that carryover funding is for them and their programs over there. So that's why I've never even made an attempt to go over there and tell them, that I need money. Because ours was specifically approved for this budget 10-104-003, and that's how I get notified. Here, this amount is your carryover. It only happened one time, and then it was approved last year. And like I said, we never got notice because we eventually had to, shut down a lot of offices, even including mine. And the only thing I would like to do is make a distinction between what I'm asking for in terms of the regular budget. I've asked for 3 attorney positions for a half a year because it takes so long to recruit attorneys because lack of housing, lack of infrastructure, that kind of stuff. And And as far as my unmet needs go, like I said, I only have 8.4% overhead. I wouldn't need all this 563,000. I agree with Mr. So, but I would ask for at least 150,000 or 200,000 to supplement this 8.4%, and that would be used for operating expenses. And believe me, I don't waste money. I've been here for going on 27 years. I don't waste money. I spend it for what we need and what our clients need. And I try to provide services the best way I can by allocating personnel, staff, or whatever I have to do to make sure that our clients get served. So that's about all I need to say as far as unmet needs. I agree with you that 563,000 is excessive, but I do need additional money for operating expenses. And I think I don't the carryover from this year that was approved in the FY20 budget. I don't think it would necessarily help to get that money now because we're not going to spend what we have to the end of the year just because of the pandemic. But I am asking for 200,000 to be carried over, or at least 150,000 to be carried over for operating expenses. Thank you.
Hello. This is Ard, an associate accountant with the Office of the Controller.
Hold on. Office of the Controller, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Ard Zawani. I'm an associate accountant with the General Accounting Section.
You have the floor. I'm going to allow you time.
I'm sorry?
You have the floor. I'm going to give you some time. You're in a meeting format, so thank you. Hearing mode. Go ahead. You have the floor.
All right. For the business unit 104003, the only carryover amount I'm seeing in FMIS and I guess looking through memos is just a prior year encumbrance amount of 3,906 from last year. But as far as carryovers from IDC or branch carryovers, there's nothing for that business unit of that at all.
Okay. Thank you very much for the information for last fiscal year.
Mr. So.
Ms. Bowman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. So. Just to clear it up, the public defender does not get IDC money, just Office of Hearings and Appeals.
Okay, thank you very much for that information.
Thank you.
Public defenders does not receive IDC, and I believe the information in the budget form indicate there's no IDC expenses, so therefore that's with the other program. So that's where it's at. Moving forth on the agenda, committee members, and go. You have any more questions? What, Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. The other question that I have, Ms. Bowman, is you currently, if I'm reading this correctly, have 13 positions that are open, and you have $796,740. I know last year there were some questions regarding bonuses. Are you planning to issue out any bonuses this year?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would love to, but not knowing how much money we have and all of this thing that we almost had to stay home the whole time, that would be something that I could work on. But I don't know if you'll recall, but I went back and looked at the budgets, and I only went back as far as FY 2012. And if you look at the form number 3 on the where it says Public Defender Director, if you'll notice that the grade that's assigned to the director position is a grade 70, and the grade that's assigned to the senior attorney is a grade 70. I didn't really pay attention to that, and I went back 2012, it's still the same. And I don't know how the personnel office is run, but when grades were increased, like for chief prosecutor and for assistant attorneys general, because I was an assistant attorney general before I came over here, they're all grade 74. So basically they're paid, and I've been working like that for the past at least 8 years. And there will be a change, and then I had to send in my application so I can be reassessed so that they can figure out what salary to pay me. But I've been basically not receiving the proper salary for what I've been doing now for almost 27 years. So that's something that you should know. And really, when they do make changes, the changes should be across the board. In other words, all attorneys doing the same level work with the same title should all be paid the same amount of money. Same way with tribal court advocates and prosecutors, because we're all doing equivalent legal work. There's no difference, at least not much difference as far as I know, and from what I can see and what I've observed all these years in the way the legal profession works here. I mean, I was an assistant attorney general when I was over there, and I think probably all of them are probably making over 120,000, and my salary is still at 112. So I'm that's something that probably that's interesting to know. I think I just wanted to point that out to you. It has been upgraded. It's now a grade 74. I had to write the position description, and I had to send in a copy of my whole resume and application, and I haven't heard back from personnel as to what salary would be assigned to me so that I could submit a PAF.
Thank you very much,
Honorable So.
Catherine, for your comment there. Madam Chair?
Thank you for sharing that information, Ms. Bowman. So just so I heard correctly, you said that you're at a grade 70, but you should actually be at a grade 74. Is that correct?
Yes, and it has been upgraded, but it hasn't. The salary thing hasn't been changed yet. They keep asking for, I need this, I need that, and so I think I provided all the information they needed, and they just need to establish a salary for me. So I will be getting an increase. I don't know how.
And the reason why I asked that question is because this committee really doesn't know very much about what's going on unless people talk to us about what they're experiencing. And in this case, I think that this committee can ask the DPM this question. And I do agree with you in that, the public defender's office and also the prosecutor's office, they're litigators. They're in court almost every single day litigating. Off the Navajo Nation, litigators make 3 times the amount of what an actual attorney makes. Here on the Navajo Nation, it's the other way around. Our attorneys who are sitting at their desk, not litigating, are the ones who are making more money than those who are litigators. So I agree with you, and I think that that is really unfair because it takes a lot of skill to be a litigator. So what we can do, Ms. Bowman, is I think if Mr. Haven, if you could guide us on this, I think what this committee can do is write a directive to DPM asking them why you're at a grade 70. Did you say you submitted all of your paperwork and you went through the process to move up in your grade?
Yes, basically, and then I have to reapply for my position, and I should have been upgraded automatically because my duties have not changed since the day I was hired as director. So I don't know why that kind of discrepancy exists here. My background is in human resources, and I was a deputy personnel officer for Indian Health Service before I went to law school. So I know a lot about HR, and I don't understand why some of these things should be done across the board for all the occupations, all the attorneys that work here in the prosecutor's office and all the other attorney positions within the Navajo government. They should all be equivalent because we're all attorneys. We've all members of the bar and got our experience and paid our dues, and they should all be treated the same way with court advocates and prosecutors. My court advocates probably make less than the prosecutor. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Ms. Bowman, I'm looking at how much how much your attorneys make, and they actually make more than the prosecutors.
Well,
I know because I was a prosecutor, and I'm looking at your public defenders, and I'm like thinking, wow, that is really impressive what you guys are making over there.
Okay, there's a distinction though. I have one senior attorney here. She's licensed, state licensed, and as much experience as I have. The senior tribal court advocates are the ones that are equivalent to the prosecutors because they are not licensed attorneys. Most of the prosecutors are not licensed attorneys, and neither are the tribal court advocates. But they oppose each other all the time. They do litigation, and they should be treated the same as the prosecutors without a state court license. That's what I'm saying. The senior attorneys are different. My senior attorney, she acts in my stead when I'm not here. And then I set up a senior attorney in Tuba City because he was assisting with the planning for the new facilities and all kinds of other stuff. So that one got upgraded, and I'm recruiting that one. But that position also works with a senior tribal court advocate and a legal secretary.
Well,
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
for that clarification, Ms. Bowman.
Okay.
Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Bowman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one question from me is that I noticed you have 3 vacant positions.
Yes.
How long were those positions open?
Well, the senior tribal court advocate has been vacant since January. I had an individual in that position. She was seriously ill, was on leave for about 4 or 5 months, and we had to do her caseload for her. And finally, it appeared that she wasn't going to come back to work, so I got her off the rolls, and we've been recruiting for that one since about January. Now, the senior attorney position in Tuba City, I upgraded that for a person that was doing very high quality, excellent work in supervising that office and assisting me with the Western districts. And because Judicial Branch has their own personnel office and can pay enormous amounts of money, he's now a staff attorney in Dilcon. And the other one is a secretary in Shiprock. We haven't filled it because the electricity went out in the trailer that we were renting, and we haven't been able to get it repaired. So that's been vacant for at least a half a year. And that Shiprock office is pretty much shut down. The tribal court advocate is working from home without a secretary, and the Shiprock chapter is closed, so we're unable to get it repaired. We're trying to find a certified electrician to get the electricity back up and running, but then I have to deal with all the purchasing rules and all of that stuff, and so I don't know when we're going to get that one filled, but we're ready to do interviews.
Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
Just really quickly, Ms. Bowman, the Shiprock chapter house is not closed. You can email them, and when you email them, if you could CC me on that email, as well as Pearl Yellowman and Son Lotsa Jim Martin, that chapter house is not closed. We've been having issues with them not answering phone calls. So if you could just send an email to them asking them for assistance, they should be able to respond back to you.
Pearl Yellowman, and who is the other one?
Son Lotsa Jim Martin.
Noise on the phone. I don't know what you said.
I can email you that information.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Kathleen. We just wanted to know how long those positions were open, and I guess the anticipation. If you anticipate that these 3 positions will be open for another 12 months, maybe we need to look at decreasing that and maybe funding it 3/4 of the year. That way you can take some of that dollars and put it elsewhere where you really need it. That's just a recommendation, but that's going to be pretty much up to you, because at the end of the year, for instance, this year's budget, from the dollars that are in the personnel that is unexpended, as of 6/30, but we don't know what that number is going to be by the time it gets to September 30th. You're going to have that personnel and the travel dollars lapse into the personnel lapse fund, and that you can't touch. But just to look at how you can maybe shift some of those monies around to other areas where you really need it at. But if you anticipate to hire the attorney, the senior attorney that's open, you can leave it as is if you anticipate to hire that person at least by the 2nd week of October and so forth. But just to give you some thoughts on that. But again, it's a program that you're overseeing, and moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Stowe. The money that's unspent right now in the personnel line items, I kind of presume there's enough money in there for my PAF to be processed and to be paid at least from now till the end of the year. I think Part of the problem of recruitment right now is people are afraid to come to the Navajo Nation because we were one of the hot spots at one time, and I think we may have some difficulty getting professional people to work for us. I may have to rethink that position and maybe change it to a court advocate and try to hire someone who's already working in that area so that at least we'll have court advocates that can assist our clients.
Okay, thank you very much, Catherine.
Oh,
Kathleen. Sorry.
Kathleen.
For your presentation, and committee members that are on the line.
Sure.
Any other question? Mr. So, Honorable Eugene So, you have the floor.
I was just wondering who's running the show here. You guys are going back and forth here and failures or something. Always my question regards to personnel or the vacant. I believe the lady that's talking knows Navajo. Since the time you got on to today, where would you put your money? Or are you just going to keep your money in the same place where it's not going to be used for 4, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10 years? What issue is that the issue? And all the professional people in the area, professional people to live. It is hard to find the individual. And she said as a professional in the Navajo Nation. I believe we have classes in regards to the law issue and the technical university. Edo Adala Ichado Nahum is professional mainly. Usually that's all, yes. And this professional person is what to government in the way that you made those steps on the net. That really home. That's all there and so open this case come with injury. That's my question though. Go back on you.
Mr. So, thank you for your question. And Kathleen, Mr. So, ask some questions. Ask some the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So and Mr. Chair. I'll try to answer your question as best I can. I have 3 senior tribal court advocates, and all 3 of them have been working here for many, many years. They're extremely well trained. They're very capable of representing individuals. And I think with 1 vacant senior court advocate position finally, and then the attorney position vacant, I will finally get to see, are there applicants out there? And that's what I don't know. If they send me a referral, then I will know if there are people that want to be public defenders. So we'll see about that. I have no qualms about hiring tribal court advocates or attorneys to be working for me. I would prefer to have an attorney, but if I can get a good tribal court advocate, I will hire that person. I don't discriminate because I know we have very highly qualified court advocates as well. Now, as far as a professional attorney, that is someone who has earned a bachelor's degree and is a graduate of an accredited law school, and most programs are 3 years, and then they take a bar exam, a state bar exam, and also the Navajo bar exam before they can practice law on the reservation. So when I talk about a professional attorney position, which is the position, the person I just lost to the court system, those positions are difficult to hire because we don't have housing. We don't have a choice of a lot of schools if they have children. And now theaters and all kinds of things are closed. So I may have a lot of difficulty recruiting. And I say that not just for public defenders, but for other programs. Now, Department of Justice, they can get people to work for them because they can live in Gallup and they work out here at Window Rock. But for us to send someone to Tuba City or even to Kayenta or wherever, it would be difficult because we don't have the anything to offer them in terms of like housing and different kinds of social things and the quality of life issues that most people look for when they're looking for a new job. So that's the difference. Is that sufficient? Does that answer your question, Mr. So?
Regards to these individuals on the race, the whole army, what the housing that's most concerned, and everybody wants to have a good time, and so they need something out there they can go to. Even though we don't even have a pawn shop, or we don't have a bank that can lend us money, or we don't have a bar. A lot of people drink on the reservation. That's the one that you don't see at Bash.
Oh.
There's a lot of people out there. As long as we're going to say we're going to keep everybody on the reservation, it's not going to really happen because we're always going to go to the border town. So that's the issue, how we can bring people where we can have everything like a big city. I think that's going to be what we will have for quite a while, a long time. Regards to that, or the professional thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. So, for your question and for answering the question, Kathleen Bowman. Thank you for the question. What I'm going to recommend is that we approve or we recommend a carryover in amount of $100,000 to the Office of the Navajo Nation Public Defender coming from the 2020 budget, not the carryovers that happened from the previous years, because those won't fly.
Those are gone.
So the $100,000 recommended $100,000 in carryovers from the 2020 budget allocation that happened for this fiscal year. And I'm going to recommend that our Ledge Council prepare language ready for this program's recommended carryover amount that we're going to suggest. And I'm going to go ahead and call for just a consensus from the committee. Honorable Chairwoman, how do you feel about this? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay, thank you very much. That's one yay. Mr. Honorable Eugene So, how do you feel about recommending the $100,000 carryover for this program? We have Mr. Eugene So agreeing. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James.
Delegate James, recommending $100,000 carryover for Office of the Prosecutor. We're just asking if you're in favor of it, just getting consensus.
Office of the Public Defender.
Office of the Public Defender. I'm sorry.
Oh, Hakwashina.
Other than that, Mr. Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Eastern Navajo's Law and Order Delegate, Edmund Yazi, how do you feel about recommending the carryover for Office of Public Defender? Okay, let the record reflect that there's a consensus of 3 in favor to recommend carryover for this program. And our Ledge Council, Ron, please draft the amendment for this recommended carryover for this program so that we can address this in the resolution that we will be approving for the budget for this program and into the main legislation. So therefore, that's where we're at. And thank you very much, Kathleen Bowman, for your presentation for your budget of the Office of the Navajo Public Defender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Moving forth on the agenda, we skip Office of Hearing and Appeals. I'm going to go ahead and call for Office of Hearing and Appeals. Are you on the line, Richie Nez? Office of Hearing and Appeals, Richie Nez, Director. Are you on the line?
Can you hear me now? My name is Richie Nez. I am here. Ready?
Okay. Thank you for being on the line. And we're going to go ahead and move forward with the budget process here. And OMB has already read your program's information into the record related to the current fund balances of your program as of 6/30/2020, and then your third quarter operation status report, and your rating for your scoring rate. Present. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead, and before I give you the floor, I'm going to turn the gavel back over to Madam Chair. Madam Chair?
Yeah, Vice Chair, thank you for assisting me this morning. We're sorry we confused you. I had an emergency that came up this morning that I had to handle, so Honorable Otto So assisted me with taking over the hearing. So with that, committee members, per the agenda, we are on the Office of Hearing and Appeals. We have the presenter, Mr. Richie Naz, who is on the call. Honorable Otto So, Lorraine, did Honorable Otto So with the Office of the Public Defender, did he get a motion, a second, and a vote, or did he just continue the way that we've been continuing with this hearing?
Just continue with the hearing, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the hearing, which means we are not going to ask for a motion, we are not going to ask for a second, and we will not be taking a vote on the presentation that will be given to us today. I believe, and can you clarify this for me, Ms. Spencer, the Office of Management and Budget did provide an overview of their report on the Office of Hearing and Appeals. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so with that, Mr. Naz, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the floor over to you, and you can present your information, and it'll just be a back and forth dialogue between the committee members and yourself. Mr. Naz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the Law and Order Committee, Richie Nez Senior, Burnside Junction, these are numbers. General funds, $482,483. Indirect costs, $99,973. Aquat Indigo, $582,556. Last year's money we did not make any changes, nor do we recommend put in any unmet needs or anything that the committee or the council should be considering. Election grievances. We already have one grievance, which I was having a staff meeting over this morning. Personal expenses. If we go on the first page, budget summary. Personal expenses is $363,584. Travel expenses $35,354. Meeting expenses $0. Supplies $63,050. Lease and rental $4,000. Communications and utilities $400. Repairs and maintenance $13,988. Contractual services $0. Special transactions $39,213. Public assistance $0. Capital outlay $62,567. Matching funds $0. Indirect $0. We go to the second page, page 2 of 11. It talks about our performance measurements. Okay, I have Trudy. I have Trudy Armijo here. She's my administrative assistant, and so what I read under column A was this year's budget. Now, for starting the budget of October, it's changed a little bit. Under column B on page 1 again. For personal expenses, it'll be $371,944. Travel expenses $54,295. Item meeting expenses remains the same at $0. Supplies decreased $60,140. Lease and rental $4,000. Communication and utilities $1,550. Repairs and maintenance 9738. Special services, again, 0.
They should tell them to fix them. They should kind of push it back with the journalist.
Hello, can you please put your phone on mute? Lorraine, can you see who is talking and mute them, please? I apologize for that, Mr. Naz.
Okay.
Lorraine, can you see that? Okay, if you can get onto your laptop and mute that person. Mr. Naz, I do apologize. You can continue.
Thank you. Special transactions, 25,166. Public assistance remains at 0. Capital outlay is 55,323. Matching, nothing. Indirect cost, nothing. So the budget is the same from this year as to the next fiscal year, 582,556. Budget Form 2 on page 2 gives us the indication of the work that has done so far. I think we all have in mind that all programs have been affected adversely, and ours is no different. So from March on, we've had we had to continue all the cases, and which means pretrial conferences, motion hearings, and full evidentiary hearings. We had to put them on hold. As of last week and continuing this week, we are rescheduling all those cases, and we will start having attorneys and parties back before OHA starting mid-September. That gives parties out there time to get their witnesses and all their paperwork in place. So that's the comment on page 2. On page 3, and these are just the salaries. I kind of applaud Kathy Bowman. She's rooting for an increase in her position. But myself, I'm thankful I have a job, yes, and I feel I'm doing a good job, and I really applaud my staff. We're a very tight, cohesive group, and so we only have a staff of 4 right now, with 1 position that is not filled, and these are the salary indications right here on page 3. So the subtotal is 230,892. Going to the next page, again, this is the proposed budget. A little bit of increase, which I think is across the board for the nation. So Chief Hearing Officer will be at 75,043. Joe Aguirre, from Tonanest. His wife works with the judicial system as a probation officer. His salary is 65,020. Administrative assistant, again, is Trudy Armijo, 36,603. Legal secretary, a new hire, and I'm very pleased with her. Leonarda Eldridge, 28,272. The office specialist, this has been on hold because that position, the individual working in that position, I terminated her for just cause, and she has a hearing grievance before OHA, and so I've had to contract out a hearing officer. It would not be wise if I sat in on my own termination. So that hearing officer recently recused himself again, and so now we're back at ground zero again. So I'll be looking for another hearing officer that can hear this case in a fair, impartial manner. Temporary employees, these are like for summer college students, 21,757. And we usually hire two people during the summer and as well as on spring and winter breaks when they come back from college. Budget Form 4 is just an explanation of the personnel expenses, including the fringe benefits. And so, again, the salaries are noted right there. On page 4, the travel expenses. These are mileage for meals, lodging, airfare directly related to program business, and other miscellaneous travel expenses. And that is 54,295. We, the hearing officer and myself, we are members of a national hearing officer organization where they give us an update on the latest type of personnel cases and other type of cases that hearing officers in other jurisdictions share with each other. And so that's invaluable training for us. And so we have monies allocated for that. So line item 33110 is the fleet. We have not had a tribal vehicle ever. And so this year, at the request of my staff, we've allocated some monies to check out a travel vehicle from fleet management and do our hearings if hearings are scheduled away from Window Rock. These usually happen, for example, more frequently on election-related cases. As I said, we have one now which we're deciding, and so the fleet vehicle will be for not a full-time assigned to OHA, but it will be available with the fleet management. Vehicle rental for off-reservation under Object Code 3210. These are for training purposes when we're off. We have Nomination Bar Association conferences down in Phoenix by a law firm. So those are usually annual events. It'll be for that purpose. And then again, under Object Code 3230, travel expenses. And there it's itemized. 3310 Object Code is commercial air at 71,150. Under Object Code under 4,000 supplies, we have allocated money for desktop supplies, folders, envelopes, pens, computer copier, toner cartridges, ink, printing of manuals, resolutions, binding, photocopy, shredding of archive documents, postage and publications, subscriptions, and research subscriptions. And so that's running us at around $60,140. General office supplies at 7,000. Furniture and equipment. The furniture over here is Oyun desk. It's the laminate tops are starting to peel up, and we wanted to continue looking professional. So it needs to be replaced. So non-capital assets, 5,494. Operating supplies, it's itemized. Books, we have Westlaw as a research tool. I believe the Department of Justice and maybe Office of Public Defender uses those research. We also have another Lexus, we have that subscription also for our research when we're doing cases, when we're writing up final cases. Next item, page 11, is lease and rental. Building and office space. These are when we have quarterly meetings. We like to get away from the office for a day or two so there's no interruptions, and we can go over and get ourselves caught up with each other on a quarterly basis. Rental space for fair and conference. And I know that we don't have any fair this year, but who knows? Maybe we'll have some next year. So we're being optimistic. Equipment supplies, projector screen, sound system. We have made a decision not to have any in-person by attorneys and their clients for non-evidentiary hearings. For example, for pretrial conferences, for motion hearings, it will be all by phone and probably by Zoom, so that we can all see each other and I can talk to both parties. The hearing officer and myself can talk to both parties. So those are the expenses that was given to us to set up that service. Telephone is there. It's normally a basic cost, $550. Hardware installation for $1,000. Page 8, annual repairs and maintenance, furniture, equipment, and R&M supplies for $2,000. And under Object Code 6130, $1,987.50, and a copier, which is the Canon copier yearly maintenance fee. Then there's a 5 HP Elite 1 protection if it's used through warranty. Technology, we need 5 Adobe Acrobat systems in the computer, 5 anti-software systems for our present computers. Page 9 of 11 is special transactions and promotional items, 4,000, gifts and awards, 2,400, catering, 4,000, refreshments, $3,500. Training and professional dues, these are training professional dues for the hearing officer and myself, 5,000, mandatory professional dues, 3,000. And of course, the insurance premiums under Object Code 7710. Capital outlay on page 10. The office here was used to be an old hotel down there, and it got converted into office spaces. And these carpets and the walls really need to be worked on. And so my staff are saying, let's just get the materials and let's see if we can hire somebody to upgrade the floor as well as paint the walls and new baseboards and flooring. And I believe Trudy sent out some quotes, and the lowest one came at $17,000. That includes everything. So we have that budgeted. Furniture and fixtures, updated tables, chairs to ensure movement in space, fixtures, appropriate light, shade, window guards, wall plugs, and the equipment, updated recording system, and then the computers, $20,000 for desktop scanners, printers, laptops, toner. Just a little side note, this past fall, the fire chief came over here and made measurements of the office space over here, the conference room, and he said you can accommodate no more than 5 people in this conference room, which is our hearing room. So lo and behold, the fire comes along, and the fire chief proved that he was right. And that's page 11 is 0. That's our budget, members, honorable members of the committee. I'm open for any questions or comments.
Committee members, are there any questions or comments for Mr. Nez?
Delegate
Honorable
James.
Otto. After that, Honorable Vince James.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ness. Although I guess the budget numbers are the same, and sounds like so far the office is running in order. But only thing right now is just the pandemic issue. And you talked about your employees and your temporary employees and your vacant position. So I really don't have concerns there. And just looking as you were going through your budget forms, I was going through that at the same time also. I mean, I don't have any issues with that, but are you guys getting, since you guys are under the office of the president?
That's correct.
Has the president office ever infused your program with any of their carryovers to assist you with possible shortfalls in this past fiscal year? That would be my first question. Then my second one is the last question that you alluded to related to the fire chief saying you can only have this much people in here. And you're referring to your hearing room. And what I am getting to is that I guess has the fire chief issued a letter indicating that that he did do that assessment in that office. The other is that I guess as committee, maybe we can get our ledge council to research this out for us. Is that maybe if we could get the authority of the fire chief on Navajo, and I really haven't heard anything related to the authority that he may have. But what I'm getting to is that if there's nothing inserted in the law to say that, hey, fire chief has this authority, and so forth, that's codified in law. I think we need to start looking at amendments to his to that program at public safety, because it is very, very important that he is covered, because by law, if he's not covered by law, but it states within his plan of operation, that's just a plan of operation. But what's codified in law is the authority. And and I think as committee members from the Law and Order, I think maybe we can get Ron to research that out for us and provide that information to the committee so that we can start looking at that. Because when you go off the reservation, the fire chief has the authority to shut down maybe a basketball game if the capacity is overloaded, with members and so forth. I think we need to start looking at that area of the law so that we could make sure that he does act within his authority there. So that right now I really don't know if that's codified in law at the time. So I guess we can have that conversation with with our alleged counsel to research out, and we'll probably ask the fire chief and on one of his reports as he comes before the committee again on the regular committee meeting. Again, thank you very much for coming for presenting to the committee. Thank you.
Yes. Madam Chair, do I respond now?
No, Honorable Vince James is next.
Okay.
Honorable Eugene Charles Newton. Richie.
Yo.
Yat
I
sin Hadan Sada husband Bodley. In York Ash Uncle. See that behind Siki regarding the 17,000 for floor repairs mini. How did you guys work it out with building and maintenance of Navajo Nation? Did they agree that you guys can contract that work out? But that was the only question that I had. And good to hear your voice to chase Mr. Naz.
Mr. Naz, go ahead.
Thank you. Ado Satsuya Ado Yate Penanana. Carryover, the Ninike and Taga. We have not received any carryovers from the President's Office in this current fiscal year. And I have Trudy Armijo here on standby on the other phone. And if there's any corrections or any additional items that she would like to say to the committee, it'll be very helpful. Trudy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. The fire department letter, says only 5. But I want the committee to know that at a minimum, in any given hearing, there should be room for 7 people. It's kind of a funny story. During one of the election cases this past year, the fire chief came over and wanted to listen in on the hearing, and my staff had to chase him up because they said, if you come in, you're in violation of your own order. So that was kind of embarrassing for him, but I thought it was kind of hilarious. There is at a minimum 7 people, which means the hearing officer, the recorder, the petitioner and his client, the respondent and his client, and 1 witness at a time. So there should be 7 people at any given time at a hearing. And here if we followed the fire chief's order to the letter, we won't have any hearings. So we just have to have hearings in violation, technical violation of the fire chief's order. But then again, like Mr. So says, I don't know. I did not question his authority. I didn't. I think that was my place to do that. And so we were just trying to comply with the order. But as you know, we can't. Now, as to Honorable James' question, Trudy. How was the $17,000 arrived at?
Good morning, Law and Order Committee. My name is Trudy Armijo. I'm the Administrative Assistant for the Office of Hearing and Appeals. And let me go ahead and add on to what Mr. Nez has talked about so far. You asked about the carryover. The only thing we've ever gotten is the IDC from the Office of the President and Vice President. And last year, our budget for 2020 was a really good increase because we've never seen that much money here at the Office of Hearing and Appeals. So when we did get it, that's when we had all these plans to make changes here at Office of Hearing and Appeals. And then regarding the hearing room, Mr. Nez did say that we were limited to 5 people. And they did come and he measured the whole room. And when he saw that the office specialist, he says, that's pretty much her office. So in her office, she's only allowed this many people in the building. That's when he came up with the 5. And he did this right before one of our huge hearings. And the hearing that took place was President Jonathan Nez's hearing. And of course, Mr. President Nez brings, tons of people with him. And we had to tell him that he couldn't bring in all those people, that there was very limited people. And of course, we were scolded from both sides, the fire department and Jonathan Nez's group. And then as far as repairs, that $17,000 there was a group, a construction group, working on the Labor Commission office. They put in an additional hearing room, and they're the ones who had upgraded the room. So I talked with them, and I asked them, how were you people hired to do all this here? Because I thought our maintenance would do it from the Navajo Nation. And they basically told me that the maintenance department is really leery about doing any construction because of the building itself. The building is considered historic, so they really don't want to get into that. But when the Labor Commission made it clear through the legislative office that they really need additional rooms and things like that, they were assisted. And that's when these private contractors, there was a contract that went out, and they had to bid on the whole process, what they were going to do, what was going to be repaired, how much the cost was. And that's when they were saying that they knew what was to be done and what was going to be spent on all of this. So I just said, can you just give me a rough estimate? I need to know. I need these floors redone, because when you walk in the middle of the floor, one of these days we're going to end up with a hole in the middle of this floor, because it's very like walking on sponge. You walk on one part and you're just going to sink in. And so we talked about that, and I told him, I don't know how long this carpet has been in here, but this carpet is filthy. It needs to go. I want a different flooring. The light fixtures need to be fixed, because in one side of the room you have good lighting, and then you go to the other side and we have terrible lighting there. And I was telling the people that with all this, we have lines that are going to have to be put under the building that comes up through the floor to accommodate our hearing equipment. And I told them these are some of the things, and then that's when they showed me what they had charged Labor Commission. And so we kind of got a roundabout figure, and we would have to paint the walls. And maintenance has come in here before, and they've told us that we cannot put holes in the wall of this building because there's still asbestos in the walls. And I asked them, well, why isn't anything being done about it? And they just basically said, well, you guys have to be the one to request for it, and then we can come in and work with it. And about a year and a half ago, we finally got updated air conditioning systems. But even with that, maintenance and the people that put in the air conditioners are going back and forth, because one of the air conditioner units, I don't know what's wrong, but during the winter months when the snow is melting and good rainy days, the air conditioner will leak, and we have a puddle in the middle of the hallway going in between offices, and we have to put our trash cans out so that we catch the water. Otherwise, we're going to come back the next day, and our hallways will be just flooded out. So that's where we got the $17,000. But now that I look at it a little bit, to take care of those repairs. And that's pretty much it from what I can tell you.
Thank you for that information. It is a bit frustrating because I do recall similar instances when I worked for the Navajo Nation calling the maintenance department. They're a good group of guys, but I think there's so much red tape involved with their department that sometimes even putting a nail in the wall is, a requirement of filling out a booklet of documents. And I apologize that your building is in that condition. I was looking back at your, actually, wait, before I ask questions, Honorable James, was your question answered? Honorable Otto So, was your question answered? Honorable Otto So said he's good. Honorable Vince James?
Oh, Delegate James here.
Okay, thank you, Shanada. Really quickly, I was just now going through your budget, and I was looking at last year's budget, and that's what I've been doing with every single department division that's come before us, is I've been looking at last year's budget just to make sure that they are the same. The only, there's been one department that's come before us that has a different amount, and it looks like this is where I need some some guidance. According to last year, it shows that you guys were allocated, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it looks like you guys were allocated $582,556. But on your budget form 1, you have $582,156. And then your proposed budget is a $582,556. So there's going to be a question with the documents that have been submitted to us, and that is, which one is wrong? Because the fiscal year 2020 budget has that you guys did receive $582,556.
I'll go ahead and
Can
answer.
someone clarify that? Thank you.
I did send this up to the Office of Manage and Budget, OMB, and we did get $582,556 last year. But when Mr. Emmett Francis redid it, the column A on page 1, he told me this was wrong, and he kind of gave me an idea where he tells me that his budget was different than mine. So when you add all that up, it only came up to $582,156. That was my question as well. But in reality, we actually did get $582,556 because our budget from last year and then the budget for 2021 is going to be exactly alike. But that's where I was concerned about that too, because somewhere he told me that I didn't have it right, but when I did the budget the first time, it was exactly 582. So I made those changes for him, and he did say thank you for the changes, and yes, everything is right now. But that was my question to him too, that since he said everything looked good and I made the corrections, he accepted our budget.
OMB, can we get you to answer that question because of this discrepancy? If somebody were to look at budget form 1 without looking at 2020 budget, there is an increase. And if we're saying that each of the departments or each of the branches are going to be functioning off of the budget from last year, I'm afraid that if it gets to budget and finance, they're going to award the $582,156 from last year, as opposed to the $582,556. So I see this as a discrepancy that needs to be addressed now. So OMB, are you on the line, and can you provide us an answer to this issue? Thank you.
Okay, this is Emmett Francis from OMB. We're talking about the Office of Hearings and Appeals, and the Office of the President, or the Hearing and Appeals, reports to the Office of the President, and the Office of the President makes these allocations for the general fund. And according to the worksheet I got from the President's office, they allocated $482,583 to the Office of Hearings and Appeals, and $99,973 in IDC was provided from the Office of the Controller as the IDC amount, and that total comes out to $582,556. The previous year, FY20, they got $342,000 from general fund, and then IDC $240,556. So the FY21 IDC really went down, and I believe that's why they got a higher amount in the general fund from the President's office. Again, I don't know how they do these allocations from the President's office. You'll have to find out from whoever is doing this from the President's office. All I do is get the worksheet, and I have to check this against the budgets that are coming in for FY21, and that's what I did. When the budget for hearings and appeals came in, I made sure I checked the allocations from the President's office. I hope that helps.
Okay, so I guess my question would be, looking at budget form 1, column A, I believe, has the wrong amount Who makes that correction?
The program is supposed to make that correction, and I did send out a correction sheet that they're supposed to follow, and that correction sheet should show $582,556 as the total, which is a combination of the general fund and the IDC fund.
Madam Chair, this is Richard Nez.
Mr. Naz, I don't see that correction form in the budget that you submitted, so can you provide us some information? Thank you.
Madam Chair, we'll be happy to make that correction and resubmit it today.
Thank you. I just don't want you guys to get a lesser amount, and if it gets to budget and finance, I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So that amount should be the same as this year. And if you look at the 2020 budget, it did allocate $342,000 plus your indirect cost recovery of $240,556, totaling $582,556. So I just want to make sure that you guys get that same amount and that it doesn't hold up the process of going through your budget hearing. The other question that I have is regarding your, I noticed that you have on here merit pay of $2,000. Can you explain the reason for this merit pay? And I'm looking at last year's budget, I don't see a merit pay on, on your form. So where did this merit pay come from? That's my first question. My second question is you guys have your employees budgeted for 2,088 hours. In 2020, the hours were 2,080. So there's an additional 8 hours that each employee will be working. So with those additional 8 hours and with the same budget amount that you're asking for, where did you take money to supplement those additional 8 hours for your 5 employees? Thank you.
Mr. Nez, may I answer the question?
Go ahead, Trudy, please.
Okay, for the merit pay, since 2018, staff here at Office of Hearing and Appeals have turned in our paperwork because we did get very good ratings on our jobs, and we've asked for a step increase, and we've never received a step increase other than the COLAs that were provided through the Navajo Nation. So we put that in there to see what's going to happen again this coming year, and should none of the employees get a step increase, then Mr. Nez can divide that merit bonus between the staff to give them a little bonus to show that they are appreciated for the work that they do. So that was added in there, and if we don't use that merit pay, then it can be to hire additional students during the summer. That way we do end up using that money, and it's still going to stay within the personnel budget. And then the hours, the additional 8 hours, that was my same question to Department of Personnel Management. When I sent in, when I sent in the form to Department of Personnel, that's exactly how I got it back. It said 2088. So I called them and I said, where is the 8 additional hours coming from? And why did we get 8 additional hours? Is it because maybe it's a leap year? I don't know. And they told me, no, that's right. That's what the allocations are for 2021 is 2088. I said, well, usually it's 2080. So I said, I don't want to be running around making changes at the last minute. And they said, no, as soon as it's signed off at 2088, that's what all of the Navajo Nation is going to go under is the 2088. So I accepted that, and that's what I based the budget on. And that's it from our side.
Thank you for that. So I think, and Honorable Otto So and I were just now talking about this, but I think those additional 8 hours came because there used to be a recognition of Navajo Police Day with a day off. But at the request of PD, they asked that the National Police Day still be recognized, but that people continue to work. And that was passed during summer council session, is my understanding. So that may be where the additional 8 hours is coming from, because it used to be a paid day off. Now it's a recognized day but people are still working.
I see.
So, yeah, so that might be where it's coming from. But you are correct in that it did go from 2080 to 2088. Honorable Otto, did you have a question?
I really like the fact that you guys are looking at the merit pay and try to appreciate your employees. And I think it's a positive thing to say yeah, and instead of doing a bonus at a 10% rate, which is recommended. And I believe the judicial branch, it happened to the judicial branch about a year ago, and the individuals with a higher salary got a higher amount than like down to the normal average secretary salary. So it was if a person was making $90,000 or a judge or something like that, they got that 10% bonus pay. That's something that's really not, to me, in my view, it's not fair. But under the merit pay, it's equally distributed out to the employees. And the 2,000 that you have, in my eyes, really not a something to really say thank you. But again, at the end, they still tax that thing from you. So when the person gets a bonus pay or merit pay, still tax, and they almost take like half of it from you. So, but again, I'm really just like to thank you guys for considering this for your employees that work in that office, because no other employee and no other program has ever talked about this. Again, just would like to commend the whole program for Office of Hearing and Appeals for thinking about your employees. Present that they did not even talk about that or anything like that. And for me, I support it. I really hope that you're doing that this fiscal year to try to get some sort of merit pay with what unused funds that you have. I really hope that you have something moving through to try to say thank you to your employees again. Something to say thank you to your employees. For me, I would do that. Office of Hearing and Appeals. Thank you very much. What I would like to do is maybe just recommend to the committee members, whenever you get to Wonder Rock, maybe we should do a tour there at Office of the Hearing and Appeals to get a actual rundown on the facility on their building. The hearing room, since we are the oversight, and maybe this is one area that we could start looking at to help Office of Hearing and Appeals try to work and upgrade, because as they're having issues with the maintenance department, maybe from the committee we can go ahead and try to push and get maintenance department to try to address some of these issues. And if we have to bring in the division director of general services, let's bring him in. And his staff should be able to provide legitimate technical assistance to programs related to building. But those are just going through my mind at the time, and they shouldn't be a hindrance, or they shouldn't be there to say, "Oh, we can't," because if they're saying we can't, what is the reason? And these buildings have tribal numbers, and we need to get that communication squared away with general services related to the maintenance and even the asbestos issue. What other alternatives are needed? And this is the time. Maybe if we, this is just my thinking, is if we had numbers and relate it to your upgrade, for what the program is asking, or you're building things like that. Maybe a carryover is we could recommend that. But if we had a number, that would be very, very, very instrumental. But again, that conversation will maybe we can have a discussion internally between the committee members. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Honorable Otto. So, and I think that's a good idea. We do need to take a tour of OHA. I know that last year twice I did stop by to do a tour, and I don't know what was going on, but the first time that I stopped in, there was nobody at the front desk, and then the second time that I stopped in, I think it was like right before a holiday, there was nobody there. So I think that's a good idea. I think we should schedule a time and a day to go to OHA and view, I guess, their building and get a good understanding of what they're talking about, because there's no department that should be put in that situation or in those types of facilities, and maybe start working towards buying a portable building for them that they can move into. So with that, I want to kind of go back to the budget really quickly. Going back to budget form 4, page 9 of 11, you have $13,900 for your program and promotional items, gifts and awards, catering, and refreshments. I'm wondering if that is a good idea to have that included in your amount. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't think COVID is going to be going away this year. I think we all want to be hopeful and say that it is going to, but per the news, it looks like the first round of, antivirus that's going to be produced is not going to come out until January or February. And so I know on the news they are saying that, there are some doctors who are very hopeful, but are also very realistic in that this COVID is not going to go away for this year. And I know that a lot of programs for their catering, they do have that for Christmas parties or for Thanksgiving. And so I'm wondering if maybe you guys want to reconsider that. Plus, there's also for 2021, we may have to consider canceling fares again. Again, if you look realistically at the timelines that the federal government has provided to the people via the news sources, it's really difficult to say that this is like by January everything is going to go back to normal. So I've been advising the different programs to reconsider those program costs and maybe, if possible, move it into a different code, and maybe focus towards like your equipment for your computers, your desktop, your scanners, your printers, your laptop, your toner. I don't know how much of the CARES money you're going to be receiving, because the executive branch did receive some money, but perhaps maybe looking into like the hotspot things that will help you to, commute from home. And the reason I'm saying this again is because, with the information provided, it doesn't sound like COVID is going to go away this year. And, each program has to consider, what can their employees function from home? Because we keep hearing about a second wave that is set to hit. And I'm praying that doesn't happen. But, again, that's kind of the word out there, is that there is going to be a second wave. And we got a report from IHS during summer session, and they talked about how it's going to be more deadly during the winter because we're going to have COVID, and then we're also going to have flu season. And so I'm guessing that the Navajo Nation will probably, have to close again if that does happen here on the nation. So how are you preparing your employees to work from home? And that's why I'm wondering if you should reconsider that $13,900 $100 and put that into your equipment, and then also other, I guess, items that you're going to need to be able to function during this time. So with that, I'm going back on mute.
Okay, Madam Chair, that is a wonderful idea. Right now, we have talked about staff here. Joe Aguirre lives in Tuba City, and I've made accommodations. He's going to be working here at OHA in Winter Rock Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. But your suggestion is very, very valid. If I can get him equipment to work from home, since we'll be doing teleconference hearings by phone, he can do hearings from his home base. For evidentiary hearings, for full hearings, he will have to be here in Winter Rock. Not only him, but other staff as well. So I am very encouraged by your statement. Mr. So, yeah, I really appreciate your leadership, as well as all the members of the Labor Law and Order Committee, including my own council delegate, James. Akoda?
I'd like to add, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes, you are right. The catering, that was usually for if our hearings were running over, because sometimes we have parties that will come in here and we have to work through lunch, and we have to sit in here and make sure everything is going fine. And if anybody needs additional paperwork, Xerox, then we're doing that for them. So a little bit of that catering would go to that. And then yes, when we were having small Christmas parties or ringing in the New Year, just having some cake and stuff, that's it. But you are right. I would rather move that to our equipment. So yes, we can get some laptops, the staff to work from home in case it's needed. And should this pandemic get any worse, they're available to work from home. But for the promotional items, I was hoping to get us some little hand sanitizers for the individuals that do come in here without hand sanitizers. Because when we requested for PPEs through the Office of the President, we did get some, but I don't feel like it's enough. It's not going to, people are going to try to come in here without face masks, and I'm going to have to ask them to wear face masks because that's a requirement. But I don't have a problem with moving that money around. In fact, I was looking at that, but I wanted to see what we needed to do, and to move it to equipment for computers, and then we need hearing equipment, and that hearing equipment is going to be it's going to cost us quite a bit. So even just to get all that together. But the one thing we are running into problems here at Office of Hearing and Appeals is the FMIS. Right now I'm the only one who is certified with the FMIS program, and the one thing that is blocking us is that we have to go through the different forms that the controller's office puts out that we request for payments and things like that. And you have to have 4 people is what we were told to do the FMIS, but the hearing officers, I don't think they really have the time to sit down and work the FMIS. So that really hinders us in payments, and we're always getting denied. We're told, you're supposed to have done it this way. We are not going to accept purchase requisition or your RDP payments. You're going to have to do it a different way. So we run into a big barrier there. And I tried to ask for help, but it's like I'm going around in circles just trying to get a lot of stuff paid for. So, and even with like the repairs, I was told, well, you're going to go over 5,000, so you're going to have to do it this way, but you need 4 people to approve it, to reconcile it, everything. So we're running into that issue, and right now our legal secretary, she's going to have to be FMIS certified now, and I was talking with her about that. I said, I'm sorry, but we're going to pull you a little bit away, and maybe one day we're going to have to take care of all this, and you're going to have to go through the FMIS to get certified, take the test, and you're going to sit down with me and get all these payments taken care of. So we can spend the money. It's just that there's just so much red tape that we have to go. But yes, I would like to move that 13.9, but just leave a little in there to maybe buy some of the little individual hand sanitizers for individuals that are going to end up sitting here all day taking care of their hearing. And then, Mr. Ottoso, thank you very much for your kind words and talking about the merit pay. This is the first time I've heard that from any council delegate. Usually we're told, take that out of your budget, you don't need, but this is the first time it was encouraged. I really do appreciate that, because the staff here, we do work really hard, and not seeing anything since I started here the past 4 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you hear other programs that say, oh yeah, well, we got this and we got that. And I do agree with you. The merit pay is very nice. It's a little better than getting a step increase, because the people that make the bigger amount of money in their payroll, they get a really nice step increase. But for those of us who are at the bottom, we only get 10 or 11 cents when somebody else gets over $2. So that is a nice thing for you to have told us, and I'm glad that we heard it from you, and I do appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you on the Law and Order Committee for standing by us and helping us get these things in order and just helping us do our job. Thank you very much.
Great. I guess my question, and this is going to be directed to OMB, is how do we assist the Office of Hearing and Appeals with moving that $13,900, or actually not the entire amount, but how do we assist them with moving those funds from object code 7110 to object code 9140? OMB?
This is Emmett Francis again. The overall budget will stay the same. It won't change. It's just moving within the budget. The oversight committee can put that on their recommendation to reduce a certain object code and increase another object code within this budget, not to move the funds out of this budget. But if you're thinking of moving funds out of this budget and giving it to another program, then you have an exhibit that you use that's attached to the resolution. But I would just say if you're just going to change amounts within the budget, just make that as part of your recommendation in the resolution. There's no exhibit or anything. There's no exhibit or anything that addresses what you're maybe wanting to do. Is basically to leave the money within the program.
We can move it around as long as the budget.
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Honorable Otto, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to interrupt you about making the recommendation. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Honorable Otto and I were talking in the council chamber. Again, we are more than 6 feet apart, so that's why he was yelling at me. But I'm going to go ahead and recognize Honorable Otto because he has a few ideas on how to do this. Honorable Otto.
Thank you. I guess what could happen is the program to transfer some money from that item from 7110 to your equipment related to your PPE and so forth, and your face mask and even down to hand sanitizer and so forth. Because for the duration of the fiscal year of 2021, you're going to need that because the amount of people or the amount of cases that OHA hears. So internally, I guess we could ask you to go ahead and move an amount that I guess could reduce the amount that's in that line item of 7110. The refreshments, I guess you have water that you guys may have purchased for during the hearing. I'm not too sure if you guys provide lunch for your hearing officer during the hearing. And so we put those into consideration and see if we can pull some of those monies out and put into your equipment related to the safety measure. And I guess you guys from the program could recommend how much you could you feel that could be done. And I'm sure that your hearings don't go on for 1 hour or so. They probably go on for hours. And I'm assuming that you do provide your hearing officers a meal when they're working through lunch. So, and then staff when they're working also during the time of hearing of hearing that's been that's in progress. So that's what I would recommend, and see the amount. I guess we can go ahead and I want to leave that up to the program, see how much they could move over of that $13,900, and then that way you guys can order some PPE for your employees there that work in the office. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and Mr. Naz will assist your department right now, and we'll make that recommendation to decrease the object code 7110. We will not put in an amount at this point, but I'm hoping that you will provide us an amount of how much you want to decrease the $13,900, and then add the decreased amount to another object code, which is 9140, to help assist the department with equipment. And this would be a one-time, recommendation only for the 2021 budget. And that, in the next coming years, that amount will go back to its normal amount, just so that we are covered and that money is not taken completely out of your account.
I hear you. Yes, ma'am, and committee members. We will go ahead and make the changes, and we will resubmit a new budget. Of course, that has to be approved by the President's office. Thereafter, we'll submit it back to the committee.
Sounds good. And if there's anything that we can do to assist you during this time, just let us know.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much, Madam Chair and committee members.
Okay, with that, committee members, are there any other questions for the Office of Hearing and Appeals? Honorable Eugene So.
This is all what he says. I got a question now. Regards to the hearings and appeal. I think we're looking at silence and others as answer. They have platform. I cut was it has on the Ghana. The Hopahagi. I don't been. I don't want the hearing appeal. Janet. It's all been out. I don't feel none either. Supreme that. But what in hope or appreciate the a good go I don't have all go on that is hit on or space a cannot the dish somewhere as a grazing representative Senator other Christian hotel about even not. So that's my experience regards to the hearings and appeal. I don't he did Haida. She has Aniki Haram, she has Alan to Opela the Bohol Nathan so to Honda that shit. So Benago Yadi another thing being graded during the hearing there are some elderly there on there and also sometimes disabled people that had a hard of hearing. They so fast and so because last I find out that we didn't even have it in Cindy, we had to go to Tuba City. That is not on the budget. So create us that we were inside the courthouse. So even now go any other show this Madam Chair. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Richie. Yeah, answer the question. Thank you.
Honorable Eugene So Yate Pena. Leader Sanidin Kidigi Hatilip Behaz Anegi Bikahodini Shohotanidin Kit. Navajo in the last few years, the Navajo Nation Supreme Court has really emphasized fundamental law. Adanek Etchet and hit as Anegi we follow fundamental law. We also follow Navajo case law as well as Navajo statutes and regulations. If there is no case point on fundamental law or Navajo law, then only then do we look to other jurisdictions like state of Arizona, etc. But so far we have all the cases that have come before us. There is always case case law, there's always statutes and regulations which govern those situations. So we have never really gone outside to look at other jurisdictions. Appeal deadline, but this is controlled again by statute. Most cases say that when there is a final decision by hearings and appeals, you have 10 calendar days to appeal to the Navajo Nation Supreme Court. There is no statute that says you cannot appeal an order from hearings and appeals. There is always an appeal process to the Navajo Nation Supreme Court. You're just going to need to follow the relevant statutes to find out the deadline, how many days you have left how many days you have to submit an appeal. The last one, elderlies and disabled. Are you accommodating them? We have I don't know how you say it, elevated sidewalks, which is wheelchair accessible, but we do not have hearing equipment to assist people who have trouble hearing. You're actually the first one, Mr. Soshantai, to ask that question, and it's a valid question, and we will look into that. So that's all I can say at this point. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mr. Chinez, for your response. And I believe what I could recommend is that we have you come do a report to the committee, and maybe a in-depth report where we just focus about your program. That way, these questions that, like what Honorable Eugene So had, could be answered there at a committee hearing to better understand the OHA program. I see it's a really good system that we have, and later in the future, I really like to see the role of Office of Hearing and Appeal expand their services, and as they expand, meaning that to make it a lot and to make the system a lot bigger and more employees to provide these services, because whatever comes from the judicial court, you're the middle court that it goes to. Then from there, things go to the Supreme Court if it's appealed again. But I really, really, truly like to say that your program provides services that I think we need to shed more light into this program and start looking at how can we better the program and in their roles and responsibilities, and not to shortcut you guys, but how could we do this? And I believe maybe even just a little work session for half a day. So that's all. Move on, and with that, I'm going to ask one more time. Any questions for OHA from the committee members? Eugene So, Honorable Eugene So, to the budget. Question to the budget.
As what I asked Mr. Otto, question to the budget, I was asked just how to accommodate. I believe the visitor asked that they don't have anything for hearing. Joe Craig about that case, so how come it's not in the budget? We need to put that in the budget. I don't also the enforcement. We don't have any money for that enforcement. I pray that we need those money. That's my question goes to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Nez? Madam Chair, do I respond to that?
Yes, Mr. Nez.
All right. If there is because the budget season is right up on us, and I need your thought also, Ms. Armijo. If we find the proper ear equipment, I don't know what the proper terminology is. We have to look around and find a quote. We might be in a position where it might be an unmet need situation, and we may need to go forward with that. The other way we can probably do it is during the fiscal year, we can put that item before this committee, and we could proceed in that manner. far as enforcement that Honorable Eugene So is saying, I'm not too sure what he means by enforcement. So that's my response.
Okay, I'd like to add on about the hearing equipment. The hearing equipment, I would have to ask the retailers if there is something they might have for the hearing impaired. As for other handicapped individuals, like if someone was in a wheelchair, yes, we do accommodate wheelchair, but it's just going to be the hearing equipment. If someone needs to hear what's going on during the time that they're up in the hearing, then we'd have to accommodate them some way. But I would have to get with the retailers on that to find out if they have something within their catalogs and how much it will cost to get that with Office of Hearing and Appeals. Thank you.
Sure,
Okay, with that committee members, Honorable Eugene So.
Because we do really need to, because of disabled veterans or he daughters that are disabled Navajos or and there's an act also because so with us the law and order committee and also then the court system. We do need something like that in the court. She thought I need some because in Chinle there was nothing, so we had to go all the way to the city to they have one. They are actually we used it there. So instead of going back and forth all over the place, costing a lot of gas and this and that, so we need to have them in the court across the Navajo Nation. Maybe that would be my recommendation to you guys. See if you can find some of those hearing I would really appreciate it to go we'll try to allocate some money or to advocate for some money on that issue. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, committee members, are there any other questions or comments for the Office of Hearing and Appeals?
I had a question just to clarify something.
I'm sorry, who are you?
This is our Associated Callan with Office of Controller.
Oh, go ahead.
For the object code transfer, was it for PPE or would it be related to capital outlay or property?
I believe the budget, the transfer from object code to another object code is to address the equipment that's needed for that office.
Okay, not PPE or anything else like that?
Well, there will be funds that will be used to purchase hand sanitizer and PPE gear so that people who come in for the hearing will be, I guess, covered.
Okay, I just wanted to suggest like an object code for, I guess, the funds that are going to be transferred for PPE and things like that, hand sanitizer. The object code, I think, for that would be 4410. So whatever funds are being transferred for those purposes, that object code I was going to recommend or suggest. That was it.
Okay. So is the controller is suggesting that any funds that we earmark for sanitizer should be under object code 4410. That's what I'm understanding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, I've got that, Mr. Ness.
Madam Chair?
Honorable Otto So.
Yes, we have the Controller's Office on the line. The Navajo Nation Council, we appropriated monies related to the PPE. Can you elaborate on anything related to the distribution of the PPE monies? Have the funds that we have allocated been set up for these programs so that they can receive these PPEs? Because we funded millions of dollars, and I believe I understand. For instance, that first legislation that we passed with the CARES Act, about $69 million, coming up on the deadline. Where the dollars are going to revert back to the main pot. So how much of that has been set up for the programs out there that had been appropriated? Thank you.
To answer that question, I'd have to, go to my supervisor and inquire about that. So I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, committee members, are there any other questions for the Office of Hearing and Appeals? All right, thank you, Mr. Nez, for your presentation. We do appreciate you answering our questions, and we will look for those amended forms that you'll be submitting to our office. Committee members, I'm going to go ahead and call for a lunch recess. It is now 12:04. If we could return back on this call at 1:04, and we'll pick up with the Department of Justice. Do we have the Attorney General, Doreen McPaul, on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Ms. McPaul, I apologize for keeping you on the line this long. I know that you're super busy. We are going to go ahead and request for a lunch break. So if you could come back on the call at 1:05, we would appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, we're going to go ahead and recess for lunch, and we'll return back at 1:05. Thank you. Are we all back on the line, committee members? Honorable Vince James?
I'm on the line.
Great. Honorable Eugene So? Honorable Otto So?
I'm here.
Okay, we have 3 members present, so that makes a quorum. Honorable Vince James, the floor is yours. Hold on. I guess maybe I should ask Mr. Delmar, are you on the line?
Yes, I was gone for a while. I finally came back on. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
I missed
okay, great. Honorable Vince James?
I got kicked off right in the middle of my presentation. I'm not sure what you talked about after I left.
Okay. Honorable Vince James, go ahead.
Madam Chair. Ado Kodon Hidonasis Koniki, Ado Division Director Jesse Delmore, Do Fire Chief Chi. For me, last year they has nako regarding Ganado Fire Department. Ado Shanala Ado Do Yahanatze with those other fire departments that are not under the Navajo Nation. Called Ahit Ahota Bakat Nedwo. Nahayat di no be Hanit the Toba na ini kan Hunzatin Hikol Jishako. Nikilpahos and Hat Egita Anahat Haleko. Ado Nihit Tahane Kota Hot in no Base Tahaneho. Shish has under a Bahazano a Ganado Fire Department. The Tapihiki is Ade Aya Apis or Gase, the one that surrounding Ganado, look until Ito Benago, Quat Echo, Bad the Lay Hanekoko, do a Hashi, Kodo, now for Nation Basil Liki, do a Adena, not the Westako, Okoko, Taikishi, thought out that Echo, the other fire department. Has any contained place with has any Allah hot hit the based on the league Hanal Jonashi Jokot a banses case ako Edo down had egg than until Linny in the horse aho that Danigi host isoda they become not water she'd ayat so pass so Ado Nana had egg not until Linny in the hot or quaggy baby and not the word. She'd ayat to say what in this case a co. Halit Adonaha, Nahana di Liadala, or what answer Kisigi, though Bana in Kahilan sort do down cotton place has under. A co what Bahanana street or little. Nana Ajina has Anigi na Kikune. In space has Anigi a con later. At not until Lenny before so how G no then his hot Ado banana they did any the off kaigi built out at the alley so put Nikit Eastern Elia I need a Hastanella based on the Niki a Ido Honda it was in Arden Elgo, put a whole back, but a band case of a late a Kotzala. Chat had Agidan until the Navy between the art at Nikoko. The has shown the Nes not guilt Edon Deco, Lena Daniel age the a base of Lacho on that I as a chocolate though. banses case ako quagi has anigi la khait ela khil halit au na hat an lenigi hot abi hiliala kodat et athalt ahoda ko inses na tin na ho ahigi aj le hoda et hot nasil wastole nasi gastole akon de stachit peso na tin ho ahi da shana la ajin da hasia la an da hasia gola na tin da ilt ego nez na da ilt ego slat da ilt ego akoni la peso pa chito internet adilt haye kot to bansus case ko adot da anahot bikon en hishol jisho halit ben el thala kot to shesido bansunanas case ko oda ja hayu peso na do liesi kita le da hada arsenal hada le de aje pasta ho arsenal it ada yego da hitza lego khait do ne khait peso arsenal do le dinas ne higi se panas do yego lego ko da she khait do le habit do le to konda panses case ko akoda to yan sa case da oko the Cornell Asian based on an clinic in Nihinak Esto del Deho, Hansa Chi Holgis, Hala, Del Neshigi, Aida and Dalshi, Badajo Bao, Nihilchita who is Uncle. So hey, Nan Nesh the Ado Imiaho, with Adina, then hit it no, the Ninat and his Alcana Nishten the High Ado Le, but Don Hasto Lehigi, not called in the Hasela, that Adon hit it none, or upon adan hit nisha da no da nashigi de kushin hilch da hoiza benina besh ma sa anen gleni de kushin hinak ish khotil te ho baya del tio e hol jis le ko ako tik akon za to hol jiste hot ko peso chahna nele peso chahni nele ik en ilahe da honana da. So all on the insurance is on there, benefits is on there, and nego go the kunza ya in the card or loss. A day koto on the peso getting idole. Sabetne, the handad neshi, ako the niche and linegi, on the Hawande, Shinasa Argo, a kot dish jail dolly get ayat eho. Bentis edo ta di skata tit argo sit is as handa niliat da yego iya da hat gishin sit isi iya big kanasha ola shanand large bodni hila kode yahatina no yishin chelbnina ade khit ati hoshni chitni ilia hande do okot ausjen da isia fa shin ba yada ki adanat ani no seni ni la peso ni chete adena neshin jendi stallen dan to shapo honet zada benina chitishit na hastin benina shalchin ito yinki git aba ahaten okot khalne ta okot nihil ho da no nahanda nashigi at this change at the ko asipi hot kita honi eda tit adon haba ko hani zin han shak at koto le the atenost the nost koto na tin lini ito si yi yahlan ka pasulin ko si habit le to kot ko da tit amban sahas case joti kotok adnat ani kliniking hit adosan hit ishan eliad ordinal so stik hot ke hon da ilne the adon hit don't need Asian benina ba na adil kit Asian benina oyo big enough tal kodoba na adil kit oko benina ni ke hard da le kot nen hitato na do ta chan leni ki ne so ba chine be to ke hoishi biga to na zo ta chago este ziko esta tiwa akot asa big inadi kasi ki to ni ni shin benina kot ba na adil kit oko hard da le hot na hast do le hawan pahilado ina pahilado hot na besna huidot ahigi no westota to sa na ni dil se kashini zini penina koto besma sa anil ni glini de konil eshi ba yel ki ko ajanshi bik de ni to ajanshi bik en al khalinde shese do hot she do hot asa shtato na do khata to sa shtato na do tasta she hot answers case ko khat ila at ila bjeti kuni zi ashi khait ahota tida basically cheating to KCB kunne nan tino tashit do nation data to on so aba yaski on that akot aba alia go tashi habit do listen do dan lede naste to yun kot za go ta kot banses case ko upon the additional right she Kate non not so di that ehiki pasla di that ehichita enigi di nasli bit to to lehi kot ehi panazla jo hat any not so adon hit koliada asto ko Asian beninat kodo an hit this aba yelti ko ni don his a lingo don his ko job pa o she it ne aje tahnet ta na ha ta hi lo dole tahnil cheho aje benanish idoli a jo she the nebe ina it beneta the neba ta hojis ana hot leho ade khait dole dita oskha ki tasha tashintan se enta da inna dol ses ina ata hotol ni konne da enta no seliki bista hotil jishi da bit il chon ta khait dole bit pa ta hil ta khait dole to konda ban ses case oko o hista hosne ko ada ban sa case johnson ishesedo kodo ba hadis so ko ado nana they has on is ke hona oko koti kodo oversight de ne ko o hat o hala anas bi yil ne ho to hala neta na long has ko konne ne hitna holjish konne en hitna na hotil jish ola kodo be lana sit leo kona hot kona di ni dolis hot ba yana ne dolis ados anado nesita ebe koni zeno shin hayat ko Bespans anni kliniki ko jono idni benache ni hit nel doles benache ha ko hinten doles ede ya ko ala ani ehna an nationality ede bedosni on chot dota nas naso lede ad esa nasi ple na hiti no den ado hala yat kin joni donani dil sesta o kana hiti ni doles o hat yana dil doles but ba nana street doles to ya konzashi suno o holji ya shahos at the doles ya
Shanella, Mr. Delmar, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, it sort of made me chuckle when you said Kadadale, but ni yat to what hanzi. So much appreciation to the Ganado Fire for what they do and everything that they do for the Navajo people around that regional area. Nathaniel Brown, Honorable Nathaniel Brown, for Kayenta, advocating for Kayenta Fire. Honorable Herman Daniels, for Ojeto, Monument Valley area, Montezuma Creek in that area. Myself and the fire chief, we are aware of the issues concerning fire, Navajo Nation fire. Fire chief, I'd like to have him respond. Vice Chair, for the area of Tuba City and the fire department there, the facilities and everything else. We are aware of it. Can you hear me still? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I know we hear you. And we are very considerate of their safety, their health, and their safety. That is priority to us. When this virus hit us, we came a long way. Working with the president and also vice president and also the executive staff, bonded every week. And our priority is the protection and the well-being and safety of our employees. Way back when this first happened in Chichibito, we didn't know how to approach it at the time, but we dealt with it. And I think that we grew as we went along. And we were sort of learning how to deal with it. I think we as a Navajo people, we did this together collectively. And all the numbers that are being reported to this day, last report I've seen, the president mentioned it this last Monday, or this past Monday, that the reports for the past 25 days, I believe he said, the numbers have been continually going down and down, which is really good. I think that's a result of us learning how to live under these conditions. And I told the president and the vice president and everybody else that I think the secret is that mask is really important. Social distancing, telling people to stay home when they're sick, and so on is the secret. I think there is a video on CNN where these people came in to talk to the president, and they're asking him how we were able to do this as a Navajo people, and that's pretty much what he said was, we're just abiding by the guidelines. Very simply put, wearing a mask and everything else. I know that this past Monday you mentioned the conversation we had, Delegate James, with a very concerned mom from your area. She was concerned about her child, that he wasn't protected. At that same time, that same morning, I picked up the phone and I gave the chief a call. And he assured me that we're addressing the PPEs at that time. So we came this far, and thank you for your concerns about the employees. And one other item that we should consider is based on the forecast. According to the president, in talking with the medical professionals, that there may be another surge this coming winter. And how do we avoid that? And I think that he's really, really strict with, and it's something that all of us, we need to consider is let's stay the course. Let's stay the course in protecting our people. I certainly understand what you're saying, and we are aware. But I want to encourage you to talk to me. The chief of police, he tells people this, is that if you have any issues, call me right away. And I think we need that. We need that open communication. Delegate James, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Committee members, are there any other questions for Mr. Delmar and Department of Public Safety at this time?
Madam Chair, Mr. So here.
Honorable So.
Oh, Eugene. So, so yeah, originally because on the police, Sheriff Fire Department, on the level of the some from the police conduction case, in regards to the land issue where it was set, and I would like to get some of the documents pertaining to that land. Yet on thank you.
Mr. Delmar?
I'm familiar with the situation there. I apologize. I forgot to give it back to the fire chief to answer some questions. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Dalmar and Madam Chair, committee members. Chinle Fire Station, we have been evaluating the building to plan on renovating or demolishing it. The last review on that building was 18 years ago, Jana. Community Development forwarded some documents, and that building was deemed not to be renovated, so they recommend to demo it and put a new building up. So those are some of our long-range plans for each fire station to start doing that. But the documents we have, then we can forward that to Delegate So. And the other question on how much does it cost for the academy to start and going? Books, uniforms, salaries, and things are being paid out as we're talking, or continuing costs to the academy as far as salary and friends benefits, insurance, and so on. And each recruit is paid to be at the academy, and they are recruit firefighters are being paid, treated as full-time employees. So they get a pay every 2 weeks, including the special duty as required. So, and then other supplies, books, uniforms, whatever they need, the cost is there. Initially, we spent about a little bit over $11,000 on books and supplies and operating. So that's the base price of supplies and operating. But as far as how long were they anticipating the academy, is that we have, when we hire recruits, we the day of recruit and hiring, as soon as they get a PAF, we issue them a what we call a task book, firefighter recruit task book. In that task book, they have to complete certain tasks as a recruit within their 90 days. So that is a part of their evaluation to continue to be a recruit and to also move on to the academy as well. So some of the criteria in there requires them to be oriented on duties and responsibility as a recruit and then firefighter and as a part of the fire service in Navajo Nation. So they're all well aware of that task book, and all of them have completed that. As far as helping county fire departments or other fire departments, we have a open door policy at the fire station, and we invite BIA, we invite other fire organizations, the county, come in and meet with us, plan with us as far as emergency response, as far as training, as far as standard operating procedures on scene, even BIA forestry, we invite them. So we have open door policy, and any of the fire stations that want to sit down and talk about needs and covering some of the costs, that we can discuss those, and we don't have a problem doing that. But as far as allocation before the budget or from the budget, that would be a question to DOJ as far as sourcing funds from our existing budget directly to a non-tribal entity. So that would be coming from DOJ. And so because we're dealing with tribal funding and is treated as tribal funding. So I hope some of the questions. Sadalva, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, Mr. Chi. Mr. Chi, just really quickly, how many of your firefighters or your first responders have been paid their special duty pay? And is there any overtime owed to them as well?
Madam Chair, Mr. Delmar, committee members, we, the Navajo Nation Fire, started paying the special duty pay all the way back since the COVID declaration in March, early March, and we transferred over $300,000 to pick up that cost for all the frontline first responders, and that included the recruits that we've just talked about. So since March, we've been paying out special duty for all the non-exempt employees. Until recently, the last couple of pay, when the CARES Act kicked in, that's when we started using that K account. So most of that was utilized by the second pay period, and we only have, last I checked, was like maybe 8,000 or 9,000 left in the CARES Act. So we did take care of our personnel since March, Madam Chair.
Mr. Delmar, there's been a lot of questions regarding the special duty pay and the overtime pay. Perhaps we could get a full accounting of all the special duty pay that has been paid out, the number of officers at each district, and how many were actually paid. If we could get that by Friday, we are calling Controller Kirk, DPM Director Fowler, and also OMB Director Mr. Bial on Friday to report to us prior to voting on the legislation, because I think we're kind of getting some conflicting information. I've got officers from Tuba City who are texting me, officers from Shiprock who are texting me saying that they have not received their special duty pay, as well as firefighters who are listening and are saying that they have not received their special duty pay. So I think it would be best to just get that full accounting. And I'm not sure, perhaps if Ron is listening, he can provide us some guidance on how we can get that information. If it is a letter is required or an email, I'll go ahead and send that out tonight. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Honorable So, I thought you lost signal. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got back in the signal area. The other thing too is, I guess, related to the what Chief Chi alluded to, relating to the fire, the sales tax. One area, I guess, key thing is the fund management plan that we need to amend, and that way that there's room, or there's language in there relating to non-Navajo non-Navajo fire entities submitting a request to the nation for assistance for whatever, maybe fire equipment, something like that. We need to put it into the fund management plan, because I believe, just thinking about it, even though we decide to do it now, it may require a legislation. For instance, if Kayenta Fire wants equipment to be paid for, those dollars are in a certain account. So it would require legislation to take monies out of that account to be paid out, so the controller knows where to take the dollars out to pay that pay Kayenta. So that's just a scenario. But what could happen is, in the fund management plan, that this plan that's currently in place for the or that established the 1% sales tax, that legislation speaks to how this plan, the dollars are going to be utilized. So in this case, that language could be put in that speaking to maybe a grant formula, maybe a grant formula with a cap. Because yes, for instance, like in Manali's area, there's hardly any, there's no Navajo Nation PD or no Navajo Nation Fire Department. So it's usually Apache County providing that service. Now, Kayenta is in the same boat, and I guess San Juan Fire District is the same boat. So, but they are all under Navajo Nation. But I believe we just need to look at that policy. The committee, if we can have a work session related to that matter. But the one thing is that I believe, as Chief Chi alluded to, is that upgrading our current facilities is one of the priorities, and that's what's going on now. So that's just one of my thoughts. Maybe we could start at a small scale with a grant formula first. That way, maybe cap it off at about 150,000 until the Navajo Nation fire districts out there are repaired out there, because we have facilities that still need attention out there across Navajo. So that's one of my concerns. Then I guess the special duty pay, what I remember is Mr. At one point, a report was given to the committee related to the special duty pay in the midst of it. And what I understood was that the program had submitted their documents to OMB, or I think it was DPM, and documents were being reshuffled, sent back to program for corrections here and there, or new language that needed to be added, or whatever that may be. So it goes back to the program. So I'm assuming things like that are not occurring now. So the payout is paid out directly from probably OMB. We need to figure out, or no, correction, OOC. We need to bring in OOC to see where they at on the payouts, because at one point OOC told us that they are vetting through these I guess the payouts related to the COVID and special duty pay, and as they're paying them out, OOC has to validate them. So there's some issues with OOC. One of the reports that they gave us, that at one point they were saying that all of March is ready to be processed, and April is I believe at the time when the controller spoke to us, she said April was about halfway through the process. So therefore, there's some other tribal programs that are at the we really need to ask them these things. And then the way I understood Chief Chi's payouts related to the special duty pay, and that went for the fire department and the EMS. EMS has some special generates monies, and they have a sort of like a proprietary account that they generate money. So they utilize those dollars from the beginning because they had money in place and to start paying out special duty pay. And then I guess the other programs that didn't have any monies at the time. That time the CARES Act was not set up yet. But the other programs were just sort of IOUs, you know. And then I understand the fire department in one of his report to us indicating that they did start paying the March because they had funding available to pay that, and these dollars that they pay out for special duty will be subjected to or eligible for reimbursement from the CARES Act when the accounts are set up. So with that, Chief Chi, one of my questions is, has OOC reimbursed the program for the special duty pays that you guys paid out early in the process that allowed that? And then with that's one. Then public safety, I guess we were waiting. They were waiting for dollars to be implemented, accounts to be set up, and it took a while for these accounts to be set up. And that does come to my mind. So meaning that we really need to get the controller's office over to the to give us a report related to this matter, because if officers still have not gotten their special duty pay, who do we say, hey, how come this account's not set up? Because to my understanding, in one of the reports for public safety has submitted these documents to DPM, and at the time DPM was still trying to create or craft language. They would submit documents and they would change another language in there, and they would send the whole paperwork back to the district. So that was the issue there, and the upper management at DPM and controller's office, we need to make sure that everything is in place, or is this still a bottleneck at this time? Because if programs are submitting these documents related to the special duty pay, the question will go to the controller. Why are you not paying them out? At one point, the controller, I believe, told council we are paying them out, and that was just verbally. But I guess it would be very, very efficient if we got some in writing from the controller to say in a statement from related to public safety, to say, or even overall in the programs, if they were paying out, or how far in the payout, or how far in the payroll process have they paid out the special duty pay up to? Because like I said earlier, the controller told us that they were getting ready to release March 2020, and they were validating April 2020 payout. Because according to the information provided from the controller, she said that we had to validate them. So they were going through individual employees, and they had to make sure that the validation, to what I understood by the controller, was that they had to go through every pay to make sure that they worked those hours. And I believe that's a requirement from the CARES Act, and the controller's office needs to answer that. But if public safety submitted theirs, and public safety does not process the pay, so it goes to OOC at AP to cut the check, or to whether to allow the check to be cut or the direct deposit to happen to reflect those additional hours for employees who qualified or who were validated for special duty pay. That's just one of my things that I was thinking about there. And then with that, the other thing, Mr. Chi, what is your projections for the upgrade, or I guess the upgrade for the facilities related to the fire department? About how many years forward do you think you're going to be working on upgrading these facilities? Because that's another thing we need to look at. If Chief Chi could utilize some of these dollars out of there to continue to improve the current facilities, fire station facilities, and get them all up to standard. Because right now, I tell you the truth, if a OEH I guess survey would happen in my community in Tuba City, I think there will be a lot of there may be some concerns. But again, all of the fire departments across Navajo, I'm not too sure where they're at with their current land withdrawals. This is the chance that you have funding that you can address to get all these land withdrawals in order, so that in future things, if federal funding comes down the pipeline related to public safety again, and say if it's for fire departments, building fire departments, but that's just my recommendation to the fire program, to get all your programs to get their land withdrawals completed. You know, for instance, the one in Shiprock, the land withdrawal there is probably not on tribal trust land, but the land sits on BIA withdrawn land. So with that, what is the land status? Is the Navajo Nation in the driver's seat in the in land control at that spot? Because like I said, because you're going to have to answer to BIA related to if you're going to improve the facilities. You know, BIA may tell you no. You know, I don't know, but that's just one of my thoughts. But if the land is conveyed back to the nation, you know, this is the time to start your land withdrawal and get this you know, that's throughout the Navajo Nation. I believe that's one area that we really need to work on. Since you have the resource to work on it, you know, to pay for these clearances and then for these upgrades of fire station. For instance, Shiprock, I believe Madam Chair spoke to a fire engine that was assigned to Shiprock, and the fire engine this is parked outside because it's too long. So where do you do your modification to the building so that the building can accommodate to park the whole fire engine inside the building? So this is the time that you could address those capital outlays without ownership. But again, I'm not in the command in that command place. But if I were there in that position, I would think about those things related to take care of the land status issues, and the improvements of our current facilities. Like we have a facility in San Juan County in Utah that San Juan County wants to turn over to the nation. It's a beautiful facility. You know, could that be entertained? What is the likelihood of that, you know, to take over, you know? But I believe San Juan County at one time entertained that idea, and from there that was under I guess Russell's administration, and from there we have not had that discussion again. But right now San Juan County is providing those the resources to run that facility in Ojeto. So
for the controller, Honorable Otto, so the controller, OMB, and also Ms. Fowler is going to be on the agenda on Friday when we're going to order committee. They'll be providing a report at the very beginning before we proceed forward with legislation. So we'll definitely ask those questions at that time. So we'll save those questions for that day. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Mr. Delmar to complete the questions that or complete the answers that Otto asked questions about. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think all of us know that we're grateful to the last council based on the extra tax dollars that we're using right now. We're only into the second year of that process. Right now, we're very, very grateful for giving us this opportunity with the Navajo Nation Fire Department. I think with those monies, we are certainly using every dollar. And the Navajo Nation Fire Chief, he does have a plan as far as the expenditure is concerned, addressing vehicles, addressing facilities, and also addressing personnel too. We are very, very, very grateful to that. To this day, because it's really helping, and it's a major uplift to us, a major boost to the Navajo Nation Fire Service. I want to make that. I want to mention that, but let me give it to the chief and have him talk about some of the questions and issues that you have. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Delmar, Madam Chair, and committee members. The question on land withdrawals and upgrade facilities and how long will that take? Early on, we found out that most of the fire stations on Navajo were built early 80s, and back then they didn't do land withdrawals or clear land environmental studies and clearances and whatnot. So we have to start all over again, and we managed to work with one community that produced some of the documents, but most of the documents they never kept. It was more like a chapter meeting, and they say, yeah, well, let's go build one building over there. Tracking back, they have no documentation, and most of the buildings that were built like that, or all the fire stations were under that situation. So we have to start all over. It's just that it's going to take time, and we project and foresee that each fire station is unique, and the communities are all unique. Of course, the populations are all different, so we have to look at all that, and also what our statistics tells us, how many calls, type of calls. So in order to build a sufficient, efficient building, we have to rely on data and information. So we have the data back all the way from 2002. So we're compiling most of those to move forward and start either renovating or rebuilding a whole new fire station. So the question of how long it will take, we imagine that our priorities are set in place for 2 years now, and we managed to overcome some of those. And like personnel, we've managed to hire from 8 to 38 now. So we have 38 personnel. And then also training, now that we have the academy going. So we're training new recruits to become full-fledged certified firefighters. Next is our equipment. So we managed to upgrade most of our equipment. Not all the equipment has been upgraded yet, and that includes all the fire trucks, rescue units. There's a slew of different types of fire trucks that we, as an organization from the fire department, need. And this is input from the districts that these are the types we need. This is how we want them. This is how many trucks we need. So those are all considered. And of course, the facility needs to be upgraded. And also looking at funding, how is the amount of money we're getting enough to carry us over in the next 5, 10, 15 years? So based on our call volume and data and facts. So that's how the operation is driven. And considering priorities are personnel, and more personnel, manpower, their safety, their training, their equipment, and then keep recruiting, and then also acquire them new equipment. And then, of course, the facility comes next. So those are some of the different steps that we're looking at. And so we have a lot of work, and I imagine it's going to take more than 5, maybe even 7 years to get to where, as far as talking about facilities, to make it so that when we say we want to operate like a real fire station, like we want to see new buildings, we want to see this for the fire department, we want to see this, we want this for the fire department. In order to get there, we need the planning that we're doing, we need the data that we're doing, we need the community contact that we are working with to continue. So those are all a part of our goals and our objectives to get there. And a lot of it is planning with our personnel, our immediate personnel, our district lieutenants, the firefighters, the captains. So they all have a say-so of how they want to see, and they want to see their operation out there in the community. And so that's one info that you can think about. And as far as plans on the question on special duty, I think I've answered that. And the only hiccup or holdup is we submit overtime, we submit our timesheets, we submit our special duty pay included in the timesheets. We hand those over to payroll, and then it goes to general ledgering, and then it goes to payout. So we realize that some of the OT and special duty or like other programs have reported, they're still over there pending payout. So we realized that meeting with OOC and payroll 2 weeks ago that they have to double check everything that we submit, and they've shown us how they're doing it, and they've shown us how they calculate actual payout numbers, and that goes to payroll. So yes, we did start paying our special duty since March. It's just a question of how do we replenish those funds back into our program since we're approaching the fiscal year, and how is that going to roll over into the new fiscal year? Are we going to see an increase in our funds that we use from our own budget? So that's one thing that we hope to see. The other thing about legislation to changes to the fund management plan to allocate funds for other non-tribal programs. That's an idea that's been talked about. It's been rolled around for a while. But we committee members, you need to realize that when we legislated the current 1% sales tax for the Navajo Nation Fire Department, is that legislation became law. And in order to change that, it has to go back to the Navajo Nation Council and the President's office. But on the other hand, understand that there's two different kinds of plans when we talk about fund management. One, of course, is fund management. Fund management plan, we were told back when we were developing the legislation and justification from DOJ is that in order to initiate and put a fund management plan in place for our program to fund them, a fund management plan, you have to collect funds like fees for services, fees for services that you provide, like maybe tickets or inspections, where you bring in money, then you make a fund management plan, then turn around and you, in your plan, you make it so that this is how we're going to use the money, and that's legislated, and then it's approved by the council or the process. That's one fund management plan. The other one that we managed to use and are continuing to utilize, which was approved and reviewed by DOJ, was a funding source where they call funding source management, is that we don't charge for services, but all we're doing is taking that sales tax of 1% of that, we're transferring money over to the fire department. And that's how our budget exists, and that's how we're operating. So essentially, we're not collecting money. It's just a transfer of money to our line item and budget based on the law that was passed and initiated by the Navajo Nation Council. So if that needs to be changed based on your suggestion or ideas, that has to go back to Department of Justice and then back to Navajo Nation. So that would be a DOJ question to answer. Mr. Delmar and Madam Chair, committee members.
Thank you, Chief. This is Delmar.
Committee members, I'm just going to say right now, I apologize. I'm driving home. I'm going to lose reception. I hope we don't lose quorum. Otherwise, we'll have to continue this on Friday.
Can I respond?
Go ahead, Mr. Delmar.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate this. One item, I know that the Vice Chair is quite persistent, saying that we have the same budget for this year. But just to let you know that the Navajo Nation Fire Department has received a significant reduction in their budget this year. And he was asking me, can you find out what happened? I think he lost about $1 million a year, less than last. And he's talking about and he is asking me what happened to it. So I'm trying to find out still. So, Chief, can you talk about that?
Yes, Mr. Delmar, Madam Chair. Quickly, 1.5 was reduced from 8.0, and I raised question to our division director, Mr. Delmar, with all due respect to research on our behalf. But I did make a call into taxation office, and their answer was, Mr. Ashley's answer was that based on projections since COVID started in March and April and to now, they projected $1 million reduction where not so much of a sales has happened on Navajo, and they project that it's going to be $1 million loss to our budget. So understanding that we're not going to get our $8+ million every year, we knew that from the beginning that it's based on sales, amount of sales on Navajo. So that's the $1 million that they took out as projection reduction. But the 500,000 that was taken out, I'm not sure where that went or how it was taken out. So that's why I've asked our division rep to ask questions. So that's what Mr. Dahmer is talking about. Madam Chair and Mr. Dahmer.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, committee members, are there any questions at this time for DPS?
Madam Chair, Doug Stowe.
Honorable Otto Stowe?
Yes, we know that Navajo projected budget, actual money in the bank. So meaning that I guess if we once they find out where the other went, but it may come, because the fourth quarter is not completed yet. So with that, I'm hoping that we have a positive projection related to the fiscal year budget year end. That's going to be the actual revenues that's going to come in, and I think that's what we need to sit down with Mr. Ashley's office to determine how much exactly came in through the nomination taxation office, and with that, even last year. I believe 8.5 million was projected, and that was what was incorporated into the budget. But realistically, we know that if you pick up sales tax, they end up you won't get an exact 8.5 million. So we need to get an actual accounting on what actually came in from the from Marty Ash shop. So that we know, because if it's just projected as 8.5, you never know. More might have came in, and where's that other portion? And this 6.5 this year that is being projected right now, like I said, it's just a projected budget. It's not actual money in the bank. We will know what the actual amount is, and that was one reason why I was looking forward to the controller's report or the legislation related to the Navajo Nation audit, and see how much actually came in related to the fire sales, the fire department, or the 1% sales tax that was approved for the fire department. So therefore, to me, if 9.3 million came in and fire department was only given 8.5, they were shortchanged by 1.3. So that's just a scenario that I have, that I am thinking about. So but we need to sit down and see what Mr. Ashley's actual, how much that office actually received, and where is that extra money sitting at, if there's any. So that's all I have. Again, thank you very much for this, and yeah.
Committee members, are there any other questions for Department of Public Safety?
No.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Delmore. We're going to go ahead and excuse you at this time. We don't need to take a vote because it's an informal public hearing session. So the legislation we'll be discussing on Friday, but I think we may just go to vote depending on what OMB and also Dr. Fowler provides to us on Friday. So with that, committee members, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are excused at this time. I know that on the agenda we do have the unmet. You did talk about them, but per Dana, we don't need to take official vote. That's going to take place on Friday. Okay, are there any other questions before we adjourn for the evening? Hey, Lorraine, are you still there? Terrell?
Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and adjourn right now. I believe the time is 7:10. So with that, committee members, we'll see you, or we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.
Let's go now.